think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh God! No, come on, just reach. Just grab my hand. I can't hold it. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is. Oh.
What am I supposed to say?
It doesn't matter. His daddy ain't listening to you anyway.
I'm hungry.
No. Put it away. I can't watch it. Oh, crap. Just reach in. You gotta pull it. Just grab it. Just take it out of his hand. You just can't. What do you mean you can't?
He won't let go.
What do you mean he won't let go? He's dead.
Help me. Get in there.
No, just hold on.
Make him let go of it. No, I got you covered. Just go in for a hug. Go and get on in there. It's a bad loss. Yeah, hug him up. Just reach, hug him up.
He's breathing.
On the other side.
Go.
I can't.
Just-
I can't do it.
Help me, Lord. Help me get over this loss.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, I can't breathe. I'm so upset. I can't breathe. Stop. You knock on wood so they go to heaven. It's like a lucky.
Hey, get the stick. Yeah.
Hey, do you the meat stick?
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, just hold tight for a second. They're moving the casket. Just hold tight.
Yeah, it's no worries. I got it.
Oh, what an awesome day for a pump, dude.
Yeah, I gotta take it easy. Doc says if I exert myself, I will die.
You overexert yourself, you will die.
I'll tell you what, you finish the workout, all these could be yours. That looks good. A little bit of honey ham for the ham. Get after it, and that's your, nope, get after it, and that's your treat. Stay, do the exercise, do the work, then you get the reward. That's how this works, man. You gotta give it max effort, maximum effort. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Big hams. Make it work, those hams. Work it. Putting in the work. Yeah, baby. Yes. This is a spicy workout. Gotta make it worth it. Building the beef and bringing home the bacon, baby. I'm loving it. Teriyaki is just about within your reach. Come on, get you some. Come on. Ooh, ooh. Maximum effort. Maximum effort. You're there. You're almost there.
That's so worth it.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Is a
ago.
dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Yeah. There's something in there.
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
It is one more chance, one final attempt to claim the crown, whether you come from winner's side or the lower bracket. Either way, you get your best of 5. I am excited to be here in the NECC Division 1 playoffs matchup, as we are here with the grand finals, 2 teams making their way through the bracket all the way here and hopefully taking the crown and taking their ticket to the Nationals. My name is Orbital. With me is the best minion to ever wander off the rift. It is Random Minion Caster, and we will be your casters for this evening. RMC, how you doing?
I am super hype, Orbital. As you mentioned, not only is it the grand finals of the spring split of NECC Div 1, but there's more on the line than just bragging rights. Winner gets a direct ticket to NECC Nationals in San Antonio, Texas, later on, I believe, next month in May. So yeah, that's going to be fun. And the 2 teams we've got as well, Grandview University, coming from Group A. They were the 3rd seeds coming out of their division, but they were, I mean, very, very competitive. They only lost 1 series. And on the other side, it's Weber, who 1st seed coming out of the Group B division, also with 6 win, 1 loss only. So a very, very competitive matchup.
And both sides, I mean, they have fought tooth and nail and yet have never actually played against each other because, as you said, they've been in different divisions. For Grandview Vikings, a lot of names that we know: Jinkal, Castle, Nightstar, Inflame, Ariana. For Weber State, you got Sendi, Jexor, Goku, Gloomgrove, and you. All these players fueled and ready to go. And for Weber, the squad that was knocked out into the lower bracket have started to overcome their past and are making their way in with rejuvenated hope into this grand finals.
Yeah, start talking a little bit about Weber and their journey right now to the grand finals. As you mentioned, they did get knocked down to the lower bracket, but not only did they get locked down to the lower bracket overall, but it's who knocked them down as well. That was super interesting because we mentioned they were 6 win, 1 losses when it came to series score in the regular season. The team that beat them, well, it was U-Tactics. Fast forward to the playoffs, the team that knocked them down to the lower bracket, it was U-Tactics. And now, to make it to the grand finals, just last night, they had to play the lower finals against, guess who? U-Tactics. But they won this time, or really got their revenge. You can see the growth within the squad from the beginning of the split till now, and they will need that growth, because we mentioned they've never played GVU within NECC. But they did face GVU earlier this year in the NECL qualifiers. In fact, GVU was actually the team that knocked them out of that particular tournament. So with the growth they've had right now, Orbital, I am very much looking forward to seeing how much they've grown exactly. They've grown enough to beat U-Tactics, their rivals within the NECC. Now, can they get their revenge on GVU as well?
I wonder about that. As much as we love to talk about being able to fight and claw your way to the top, no matter who you face from the past, present, or future, we have to give credit. Grandview are here for a reason, have not dropped a single series all the way through, came from the winner's side bracket, and that almost extends all the way to their regular season just as well. We mentioned that they also finished in their division at one of the top spots in their playoffs run, not dropping anything except a single game throughout their series is also something to be very, very impressed at.
Yeah, and for Grandview, they're sitting in the grand finals here, going through the upper side. They've dropped 1 series in the regular season and 1 game in the playoffs. So they are undoubtedly looking like the stronger side, like the favorites. And they do have the history of beating Weber way back, you know, at the beginning of the year, even before the spring split started. And if we look at the players as well, Grandview, this particular iteration of Grandview, the bones of it have been together since 2023, you know, when they brought on Castle. Jinkle was already there with Nightstar already. And this year they've been playing through sort of a 10-man roster, but it feels like they've settled down into this starting 5, at least for the playoffs. And it's been terrifying. A lot of mechanical skill. And to me, what has impressed me the most is how measured they are. They definitely come in as a team with a plan and know how to execute.
And that's what we're hoping to see here right now. Blue side for GVU, the Vikings going to start on that end. And for Weber on their side, they go ahead and take away some of the bands that they prefer. The Belvest specifically targeted at Castle in that jungle, who, as you mentioned, haven't been that rookie back in the years. I mean, you and I cast him on Team Ambition Black all the way back in the day, now being that veteran and drawing a ban in the Belvest. But the Gwen, understandably, you're on red side. You kind of have to ban that one away, as much as I hate to say it.
Well, I think it might be switched a bit the other way around. The Belveth bans actually targeted you for Weber, and that shows that they've done their homework, because you actually reminds me a little bit of Castle in the past when, Castle was known for his Lee Sin versus Viego for sort of one-man carry performances. You has been that for Weber as well, and he's got a couple of champions that he can do that on. The Belveth, I think, being his signature most played one here within the NECC. But as you called, there is some target banning going a little bit at Castle here as well. The Gwen ban is a meta ban that can go jungle or top, but the Kindred that's definitely aimed at the jungle at Castle, who we said before, is a carry player within his own right.
Of course, and with the Pantheon and the Renata Glass, we can see where a lot of this is aimed at teamfight prowess in the Renata Glass is denied. And the Galio, a stalling power being used by Nightstar in that mid lane, being able to facilitate strong teamfight action as well. These are all taken off that table in case it goes to Ariana as well, but we'll get to that as right now first pick comes out here. GVU go ahead and slam home that Viego, which is a castle special that we've seen utilized before to get those leads excel in that kind of snowbally pace.
Yeah, and just for clarity, the names are unfortunately not quite in role order. So Jinko should be their mid laner, Nightstar should be their AD carry, Inflam should be the support, and Ariana should be the top laner. The Viego also serves as a bit of a shadow ban against you. A couple of the champions that he does specialize in, at least within the NECC, he's been really playing a lot the Belveth, the Zyra, and the Viego. So the Viego kind of does double duty for GVU, and I really like it as that first pick coming through.
And right now we will see exactly where they go, and again, a solid lock in here for Weaver's side just as well. What are you going to pair against it, though? With the Viego, we do like to see some sort of, a little bit of guerrilla warfare. I always like to say, whenever I see a Viego, I want not only the ability to escape and lanes to kind of apply on their own. The Ezreal does it very, very well, and considering you're matching against the likes of a Varus, I like the escapability, especially since when we take a look at Nightstar in that bottom lane, you need that versatility, especially if you're going to be watching Inflame possibly roam out there. The Ahri as well, a great way to make those macro early game movements.
Yeah, and more importantly, a lot of bursts to come through to set up that Viego, like you were talking a little bit about there, Orbital. A lot of strength coming through from GVU already, a lot of agency, and you like to see that when you're up against the likes of Varus and Wukong already, both of whom are very good at priming for team fights. But Orbital, we talked a lot about you and his pocket picks, but we need to talk about Jexor in the top side, because that Urgot is his most played champion in solo queue by far. It's been almost permabanned against him here in the NECC. He's got to play it one series, all split long, and finally he gets his hand of it here in the grand finals.
And here's the deal. We get to see it here. It has to mean that GVU have a plan. However, that plan might be picked apart. Weber now heavily focusing bans up towards that top side. We see the Rise targeted towards that mid lane against Goku, which makes sense. The rotational value could match that Ahri in certain stances. But the Rumble, the Mbessa, these are all great tools to use to not only engage and get on top of the Urgot, but to also shut it down. So as Weaver is currently looking, they say we need that Urgot. Now we have to take away a lot of those pain points that we could possibly see come out here.
Yeah, and all of those champions you're banning, the Rise, the Talia from GVU, those are champions that excel at dealing with Ahri, that can restrict her mobility and punish her ability to dash around. Goku's champion pool is massive, though. This guy's been playing for such a long time. He's played at Tier 1. He's played at Worlds in 2019, for goodness sake. So he's got lots of other options he could still go with. I would like to see something maybe like the Yone to come through. I know that's very physical damage heavy on the side of Weber, but I do feel like we're not seeing too many tanks on the side of GVU right now. So depending on what their top lane is, if it's not a tank, I think you could afford to go Yone for more damage, more carry potential.
They might be able to do it, but right now we're looking for a little bit of safety for GVU side. That is going to be Inflame on the Braum, and then a huge chance at disengaging and still protecting your backline. The Poppy coming out here for Ariana, being able to say, hey, I can play carries, but I need to play for the team right now, and if I want to allow the likes of Castle to be that namesake player, you go ahead and grab a little bit of tank in there. The Braum and Poppy will be used as now tools, and to answer in the mid lane, Goku, going back to a tried and true matchup, Ahri versus the Orianna, to go ahead and filter out.
Okay, and that's a good adaptation. We're talking about if there's no tanks, maybe something like a Yone could work, but if there is a tank, then you don't want to all in on physical damage. So getting the Orianna works really well with the team fight strength that they have, with the Wukong, with the Varus, with the Rel as well. It's perfect setup. And for Weaver, the game plan is very, very simple. We want a team fight, and Jex in the top lane wants to dominate. If he can win that 1v1, we got split push, and we got team fight advantage. GVU, though, they've already said that we don't want a team fight. The picks of Viego, Ezreal, Ahri already tells you that we want to skirmish, we want to tear this team apart, break them into smaller fights, and find these sort of picks. the Braum and the Poppy just serve as ways to disengage. Should the engage come through, Poppy alone can reset the fight right from the get-go, and she can also mess up Wukong trying to find that engage. If you can't find the engage, you're not as worried about the Orianna Shockwave.
And honestly, I'm taking a look at these compositions, and it still speaks to what we talked about in that jungle role, except in two different ways. When I look at GVUs as a whole, I look at what they want to do with these compositions, and I see the Braum, the Poppy, as you mentioned, but not only that, the Ahri and the Ezreal, both very individual champs, but it seems like everything is made to get this Viego rolling. When you see a B1, I love seeing the rest of the pieces come together, and it seems to almost empower Castle B. Like, I want to carry. I mean, this is the one chance you get the Viego on the other side. It's almost the same. We see that Wukong being that linchpin, but instead of being the centerpiece, it's like the dragging forward, like, charge, follow me, follow the Cyclone, please, and we will enable the Urgot to get a carry. We will enable the Varus to get ahead. We'll follow with the Rel, the Orianna. They are... It still feels so jungle-centric that I'm curious how this early game is going to play out, if either GVU or Weaver are going to get such early starts, maybe around, you know, the Dragon fight or the Grub takes even.
Yeah, and with the picks as well, because of the way the champions like to interact, right? Like Wukong wants to power farm till level 6, unlock that Cyclone, and we're used to thinking of Wukong as more of a team fighter, like you said, leading the charge from the front, getting the engage for the team, setting up for that big fight. But you as a player, he does like to gank his lanes, but he also does like to skirmish sort of the 1v1 situation. That's probably not going to be in his best interest against the Viego. Whereas Castle, this harkens back to the old Castle that we recall. You know, when he was younger, when he was a freshman on this team, things like the Lee Sin, like the Viego, where he can be the big carry. And it's funny because when I talked to their coach Dreyer, he mentioned that, you know, recently he has a lot of faith in the way his players have been playing, especially Castle's consistency and unselfishness. I feel like Viego is a champion who kind of goes against that, right? You have to be selfish with Viego. So I'm kind of curious to see how Castle's gonna, you know, spread the love a little bit. Of course, you can go with ganks, and even if you're not giving kills to your lanes, giving assists to your lanes is one way to play unselfishly. Getting them priority by chunking the enemy laner down, that's one way to get an advantage. There's still lots of ways to do that, and with the Viego, while level 6 is a big breakpoint to get the ganks, like to get the execution on the ultimate, really, the early ganks that Viego can put down, even if you don't get the kill, just burning flashes, burning summoners, burning health with just the stun coming out the mist, that's good enough for your lanes, and I'd love to see Castle be doing that pre-level 6.
And the way that that's going to happen is if we do get to see the likes of Inflame also helping out in that regard, both of these supports would love to get into the mix a little bit early. I mean, Braum and Rel has so much CC, so much impact to bring in the early dances, and if you're able to roam out as well, that would be huge, because when we look at GVU, Inflame is not always a huge roamer, but when you lock in an Ezreal, it always seems to me that you are wanting to leave lane, because this is going to maybe come as a shock, but Sendy is well known as a roamer. When you take a look at what you were saying, you say, hey, we got to roam, we got to get out of here, and the Rel really speaks to that. So right now, if Inflame is wanting to also enable the likes of Castle to go ahead and explore the other lanes, you got to be matching the likes of Sendy down there, or else things might go a little bit sideways, and Weaver could easily storm the way to an early game advantage.
Yeah, the ball game is going to be an interesting one too, because as you mentioned the sports, let's talk about the 80 carries that partnered with them as well. Nightstar, to me, I remember him more as like a scaling hyper carry, things like Kog'Maw, things like Jinx used to be his bread and butter. Now, Ezreal kind of fits that in that he does want to scale up, get a couple items, usually the 3-item power spike was what he was known for in the past. And I feel like Braum is a great champion to kind of protect the Ezreal, but yeah, I don't know if we're going to see the lane dominance necessarily from Ezreal Braum, and that should mean that Inflame should roam. But the last time we saw Inflame, he was playing with Leo as his AD carry, and I remember the Draven game where the two of them just crushed the lane and took over, and that's the memory, that's the impression I have of Inflame, right? Is a very lane dominant support. So curious to see if he tries to sit around with the Ezreal, who, I mean, Ezreal can take over lane if he can land all his mystic shots, but it's very conditional. On the other hand, I look at the likes of Sendy, like you talked about, he's been roaming very heavily, and it's worth noting Sendy, the captain for this Weaver squad, he's not actually a support by trade. Like this guy, I feel like every time we watch him, every season, he's on a new role. I think he's played every role except for jungle at this point. So he's got a really good idea of what the lanes want. And as a support, his roam timings have always been really good, but it does leave Gloomgrove on an island more often than not.
Well, see, that's why you play every single role, is to get that experience, to be able to say, I know what you need. You don't get to tell me what you need. I know you're lying when you say you need that extra wave or anything like that. Maybe not in jungle, you need the extra camp. We don't know about that one. But as you could see already, GVU, we're looking in this game, number one, to get a little bit spicy. We're already attempting to put Jexor behind on this one pick. And when it comes to Fearless, it always draws my attention to see where the focus goes if we get these, you know, very unique picks. The Urgot coming in here, are you going to try and slam that down very early, or are you just going to say we play our game as standard and we win like we always do for GVU? that's what they're hoping as we do go ahead and see Jinkle go ahead, throw down a little bit of ward, saying, okay, not on the Raptors to start. It will be opposite side, but same buffs.
Okay, and just to clarify, the name says MU, but I've been told that that is Jinkle, so don't mind us if we're calling him Jinkle, MU, same thing, you know, players like to change their names. Oh, bro, unfortunately for both these teams, they have to play standard. The age of lane swaps is over, thank goodness for that.
True.
So I think that's why we saw GVU kind of run up to that top lane. Even if they do find Jex in the bush and they can get an early kill, they set their Urgot behind. If Urgot falls behind in lane, he doesn't have as much impact later on in the team fights. But even if they don't find the kill, just getting the ward down, I think, was just to buy Ariana a little bit more space. Ariana's goal this game is not to be a carry. Yes, he was a carry against UTactics last night, but his goal this game with the Poppy, I've been told this guy's a Swiss Army knife. So he'll do whatever the team needs, and what the team needs is a top laner who doesn't get the Urgot fed.
Just be that tank, be that screw that unlocks the box that they need to, or that, I don't know, a corkscrew? I really don't know. I haven't seen a Swiss Army knife in a while, I'm not gonna lie. I am not a very outdoorsy person here, but I gotta agree. Ariana is going to be playing that kind of all-around role. What does the team need? Well, they need that stalwart in the top side. At the same time, Weber are saying, well, screw the Swiss Army knife. We have the big brawn in the top side, and we might even angle for that as you is quickly power farming through this jungle, trying to clear it as quickly as possible, and maybe looking towards that top lane for a little bit of extra ganking power.
And being Poppy with the Steadfast presence, it is kind of hard to gank Ariana, so more likely than not, we'll just see you try and power farm. I don't know if we'll actually see the gank come through versus just full clear into Scuttle. The junglers did start on opposite sides, so Castle won't be meeting up with you early. Probably just see the Scuttles being traded. And I wonder if we get to see a gank in the bot lane, because Nightstar and Inflame, we talked about how Nightstar and the Ezreal, more of a skilling pick necessarily, not the most lane dominant, but he's shoving in, actually. He's getting an edge on this shove early, and that does mean that Castle, it's a bit harder for him to look for the gank angle here.
It is. But of course, I think when Nightstar misses a cannon, we all sit there and go, ooh, you don't deserve a gank. Not allowed. Not allowed. But you did see Castle kind of sitting around the edge. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, which has been untouched by either jungler, it's Jinkle. That's actually in a lower HP state. I mean, when you look at an Orianna who is kind of, I think it's almost Q semi-maxing with the W, you go ahead and just happily take a lot of those trades. You force the Ahri out of lane, and now you get a look, but on the top side, man, I didn't think there was kill there, but Ariana definitely thought there was, but because of this, now we talked about the gank threat, all of a sudden, Ariana now in a really rough spot, and Jexor with low HP says, I got a full HP Wukong ready to go, and you brings in the red buff just as well, no flash available, and this will be the rundown, first blood handed to Jexor.
Look how close it is, and Castle's here for cleanup. He's got flash available.
I mean, he might be able to get by, and he is going to jump forward. Yep. Easy pin, cleanup, and Castle gets the rewards, and that is going to be the start to the possible snowballs. Castle with one, Jexor with one.
Okay, so Jex does also get first blood. That is going to be a nice advantage for the Urgot, and I think both teams are going to be okay with pretty much what happened up in the top lane. The fact that your Urgot, who's going to be your big split push threat, your big 1v1 threat, getting the early gold makes that lane very favorable for him. And for GVU, it's a bit rough on Ariana. You're probably not going to get that much help, but Castle getting the early kill on a champion like Viego that can potentially 1v5 games is absolutely massive. So tactically, better for Weber. Strategically, I think GVU are going to be okay with that.
100%. Well, right now, Inflame with the first roam of this game. We mentioned that Sendy loves to get into the mix. Well, Inflame is actually the first one, knowing that Jex has a no flash available, is already looking at this lane swap position. Meanwhile, Castle is in the enemy jungle, now getting jumped on by 3. And remember, Jinkle has no ult, meaning Castle has been caught out here. Weber with a beautiful read, shut down that Viego.
Oh no, and Ariana actually teleported up to that top side as well. Way too late. Castle is already dead to rights. So Ariana, a lot of time wasted. Free farm being given over to Gloomgrove in the bot lane. And Sandy now sat on a ward. Nightstar and Inflame playing this really well to act it out as if they don't know he's there.
And I wonder how this is going to play out, because once again, we're seeing this pin on the bot side. Ariana now looking to do some extra damage, level 6 versus level 5. Gloomgrove obviously can't duel with that, so you have to step away, you lose your flash there, and you go, okay. I go right back to farming, though. But this top lane, a lane swap called by GVU, and I mean, Yu's also sticking around just going, All right, I'll help out. Make sure it doesn't get into a weird spot. Castle even coming into the mix. I thought you said lane swap is over, RMC. You lied to me. You lied to me outright as we still see this duel coming out here. Castle chunking out Sendy. Sendy has to flash away to safety. Jexor dashing under tower. What's going on here right now?
Orbital, this we don't call the lane swap. This we call rotation. And he wants prio over the grub. So it's not uncommon that we see teams trade those lanes early to get grub control. And WSU Weaver did respond by sending Sendy up there. I didn't dislike the call necessarily because Urgot is ranged, so he can still kind of match up to that. But GVU, just playing more aggressively, able to punish Sendy and Jexor, force them out, does give them that priority over the grubs. If not for the fact that Gloomgrove opted for a fight he could not take at level 5 to level 6, trying to catch Ariana in rotation, honestly, Weaver would have been pretty even when all is said and done. But because Gloomgrove did get forced out, I think GVU actually come out with the edge with those grubs.
We'll be very happy about that one. Step number 1 complete. Infernal Dragon to play for just as well. And with Goku at level 7, they might be able to get into the action. Namely, with that early recall coming out of Jinkle, Goku is actually able to have a little bit of a step up. Has a decent item breakpoint set with those boots already in, having the ability haste plus the amp tome and the tear in hand. These are great stacking tools that you will happily utilize to scale into this mid-game. Arrow coming out though, as Gloomgrove is just trying to clear this wave and to press this massive crash into the enemy tower.
Yeah, you already rotating to the spots out the map. It does look like Weaver wants to answer back with the Dragons. They get the prio, but Inflame did manage to sneak a ward into the pit there, and GVU are aware of this. It does not look like they'll contest it whatsoever. Objectives just being traded.
And of course, as per usual, it's just a happy little take. Granted, Smite came down a little bit early, and I was looking at Nightstar, who just ticked over to level 6. I was like, are we going to see an attempt at a snipe just for funsies? You know, we love seeing the Jinx randomly fire a shot, but no true shot barrage this time around. You go ahead and let it go, and you take it as a respectful, respect paid to either side. Of course, it's an Infernal, though. Infernal always feels bad to give over, so WSU actually quite happy about gathering that one for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of times I feel like it... Oh, Exo's getting aggressive because he knows he's got you in his back pocket. Ariana's flash is almost up.
And that's a great knockout of the
enough.
Justice. So good, Jax picking that one up. And right now, that Swiss Army knife is starting to get beat down.
A little bit. I was actually just looking at their CS differentials, and the fact that Ariana was actually pretty much dead even, despite death, props to him, but can Castle answer bot lane? Gloomgrove doesn't have flash either.
Oh,
Just
so
gets
easy.
executed.
Easy pickup by Castle, and I think this is the right response considering how top lane is going. Not only that, great wave state to go ahead and allow Nightstar to pick up a couple extra tower plates as well.
Yeah, those in real handy on this push.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get 2 plates off of it, most likely. Sendy does live. Can they actually get 3 plates off this?
Oh yeah, they have a massive wave. They crashed, what was that,
Wow.
2.5 plus a cannon? Like, that is more than enough to gather 3 huge opportunities to swing the gold back. As GVU were down about 600, now they are up about 3.
Okay, I'm impressed. That's a really good for GVU. Sure, Swiss Army knife gets
No.
beaten out a little bit, but they get 4 plates in the
Oh my god! Poor Jax is like, yo, I want top lane, what the hell?
It's like, I'm doing my job here, and now, like, what's happening? Unfortunately, Jax has to rotate into the bot, so it's not like Ariana is really getting punished particularly hard. I do expect to see that, yeah, there we go, start rotating to the bot lane as well to match that 1v1 situation. They want to give Nightstar and Inflame that 2v2 that they've been actually winning out, and that's really, really good for them. Whereas for the Poppy, while Jax has managed to kill Ariana, it's not been solo kills. It's been with the help of you. And if you look at the turret plating as well, Jax has only got 1 plate off that top lane. Like, that's significant. Actually, he didn't even get the 1 plate off. The minions have just taken off. I don't think anybody got plate credit for that.
No, and that was what I was ready to point out as well, as the grubs are about to spawn here in just a few moments once again for GVU, which is the other reason why we see that rotate up. You called it earlier, and it's the same song and dance. But Ariana still getting a little bit weaker side because Jax already got the boots of swiftness. So right now, this position that you were mentioning, Jax having that help has now expanded into a potential case for a 1v1 spot. But right now we are seeing a little bit of jump in as Jinkle inside of the jungle is drawing both you and Sendy. A nice use of the Spirit Rush though is gonna get them out of harm's way. And now in a 3v2 with a little bit of roam from GVU's bot side in the top lane, we get a little bit of a dance around the grubs as well.
Yeah, but that's still really good to burn the Spirit Rush out before the fight breaks out, and Weber hasn't burnt any of it. They've got the big wombo combo. They don't have the highest damage with the Orianna just yet, and you gets nailed by Nightstar.
Oh, and that hurts. And I think that's going to call for a little bit of a run. Goku, Sendy do not want anything to do, so they have to go ahead and relinquish over all 6 grubs to GVU, which means they are going to be so happy about this push. As GVU, Ariana goes ahead and says, I'm happy too. I just punted Jex away.
Yeah, and why not? You're not going to use that ultimate anytime soon. The big fight has already happened. Dragon's coming up in a minute plus. By that time, yeah, probably not even in the bot lane anymore. So, yeah, burn it. Might as well. And when all said and done, GVU getting 6 grubs, that's somewhat to be expected, right? How their composition is good at skirmishing, good at the smaller fights. They have a lot of agency. So they, and with Nightstar winning out his lane as well, if they don't win now, they're actually going to be in a spot of trouble. Weber is waiting for about that 1 item, 2 item power spike where the wombos start to come through. They haven't quite hit it yet. But for the next objective, expect to see Weber play more aggressively for that one. This one, they were in a power trough. Next one, they should be in their spike.
That next zone might be on that bot side as we do see the tower fall though, so Weaver maybe not in the gold power spike angle. Jax though wants a little bit of a response here. Knows that the ultimate is down but can't chase after that Q. So the hammer keeping everyone at bay. An attempt made by Inflame, and Gloomgrove knew how far away they were going to be, especially with those empowered tier 1 boots. Always feels kind of good to have that extra move speed in bank.
Yeah, a little bit surprised that was playing that aggressively there when Castle was being hunted down in the jungle. They knew that Sendy was in the view in his back pocket, but they're setting up an ambush.
I think they might be able to get it as Inflame already burns that jump in from Sendy, but Sendy having a lot of HP, but that HP is immediately gone thanks to the Shoe Shot Barrage. Another tag on the Gloom, who does have Flash and Cleanse, but Castle's coming around the side, so they can't stick around to fight. It will be a nice rush down, though, to go ahead and force Sendy away, but it does give opportunity for Weaver to take the second Drake, and a Hex Tech of all things feels pretty dang good. It'll be Mountain Soul to play for, but GVU say, screw whatever dragons, we want this gold on the towers.
Yeah, and I think they're maximizing the grubs that they took, right? If you think about it, it's 6 grubs to GVU, 2 drags to kind of an even trade in objectives, but GVU are really trying to maximize that by plates that they can as fast as they can, TP being projects.
The thing is I think GVU actually got what they needed. They got that third plate. They now have a total of 7. I don't think any were taken in mid, but 7 plates to what, 0? On the other end, maybe 1 in the mid lane from Goku, who Goku has actually done a very nice job against this. All right, Inflame, though, getting pinned down. Fear Beyond Death is available, and you chew through the HP. Good flash away, though, and you are going to be safe. Inflame is going to hang on, but Jax starting to flex their muscles a bit with that Black Cleaver and Toad.
Yeah, hitting his power spike right now and able to really abuse that matchup. And just how long that's going to happen for, or whether GVU are going to be able to punish that sort of pushing. Right now, with all the outer turrets, well, not all of them, bot side did go down, but with most of the outer up, the short lane really allows Jex to kind of flex his muscles. But longer lane, we've seen Castle be very proactive about looking at these side lanes right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if GVU are willing to kind of sacrifice another dragon, or even potentially if they can set up a pick and get a turret in exchange, for example. Or they have great willingness to focus turrets as objectives over the neutral stacking ones.
I think that even shows in how often Castle has not been in their own jungles. Currently still has 5 camps to clear versus the 1 over there on you. You, of course, as you called, farming up a storm, making sure they have that 1200 smite available in the later states. So I think it's understood that you call that out. Hey, Castle, stop. Don't worry about those global objectives. However, you might need to over the Herald here, considering both teams are at a feet apiece, and they really do want these boots upgraded for either side. So Inflame and Castle currently roaming around this topside river portion, allowing Nightstar to push up, but everyone getting into the mix here.
Again, that feat would be the objective, so fair enough. One could matter very much. Herald is about to spawn. Both teams are looking at it. GVU was there first, and Nightstar gets caught.
What? What? That is the roughest one. You accidentally eat into the rest of the team as well. And that's just a hampered mistake there. Nightstar kind of kicking themselves. Top
Yeah,
side,
I was looking at
Ariana
it.
getting a good pin. This is some damage. Knocks up, and all of a sudden, Jex realizes that there might be in trouble, but a nice steadfast presence will be enough. A final buckler as Ariana gets some revenge. Of course, you know you're going to go down with your ship, but you've done your job. 1v1 in the top side.
Nightstar has just respawned as well, so if we would want to take this one, it's going to get a little bit dicey. Goku is walking it up. He does have teleport in his back pocket. Teleport on the wave. Or there's a war nearby.
All right, double TP's coming in here, so it's 2v3 for the time being, and that's easy shredding for Weaver. True Shot Barrage lands, but only lands on the tank, so that means GVU are running for the hills. Ain't no way to do anything here as Jinkall left the scene. It is going to be Weaver State to go ahead and take that fight in hand, move themselves to 7 kills, and claim this Herald for their own.
And that was a choice and a half by GVU on that series of plays. Nightstar getting shocking. I was looking for what actually tagged him up, and it's like, I just couldn't believe he already shifted in. And that's got to be a misclick, right? But the series of events after that as well, they thought, okay, we've got, you know, the Viego, we've got the Ari, we've got a lot of mobility, but they weren't able to outplay, pardon me, and Weaver just punished them. They didn't even have to sync up all the AoE wombo combos, and with that, Gold Lead flips over to Weaver for what feels like only the first significant time this game outside of the first couple of minutes of the game. And for Weaver, we talked about it. They're in their power spike right now. This is where they're going to start winning all their team fights. And for GVU to fall behind at this critical portion, it makes the game so much to play. I do think they will need to approach the next fight a lot more carefully, set up the vision, and try and make sure the numbers to try and fight that this time and don't group up.
And the thing is, maybe even rotate Jinkall into the fight. It's currently still 0-0-0. Has attempted to TP into the fights, but has been shut down. Went for the Rod of Ages build, so it's still kind of powering up in there. It takes about another 2.5 minutes before it full stacks. But it still feels bad. 100% I agree. They have to be a little bit worried about how they're looking for these next 2 team fights, as Castle able to snipe away that Grump, but Dragon is up in about 20 seconds. And again, it's a Mountain Soul. It's not exactly the most direct power source, but having the extra HP in a game where there's very few tanks in there, all the extra armor and magic resist will be so nice to have for whoever gets it.
Yeah, GVU is setting up nicely for it, though. They do have the vision. Jinkall is with them, as you called before, and because they did get the first brick in that bot lane, they push on that as well. They've got a bit more time to be able to set that up. Nightstar right now playing in the mid lane. He's probably the safest. Doesn't E in. Caught.
Castle and Flames say, I'll show you how to E him without dying. Good Glacial Fissure, though, to knock everyone back. And Castle and Flame go ahead and walk away. However, this is going to be a tower break for the side of WSU. No, it didn't break. I thought there was more damage behind it. So, yeah, just living on about 200 HP. So GVU is still going to play with that. But in that time frame, Jex gets plenty of time with the top lane tower. More gold in their pocket, and with TP up and available, easily join in for the mix. But of course, GVU playing the map appropriately. Castle already starting, I believe, on this Dragon along with Ariana. They're going to look for an attempt, a little bit of a shielding up from Sendy, and Sendy's going to try and do some work, but Shockwave lands on 4. Is there a follow-up? No, not really, because right now it is going to be GVU, but GVU get knocked out by all the Cyclones. They have to back away. Castle is taken quite low, and now comes the Shredder and a half. GVU realized that they had a strong start, but the finish was nowhere near, and Goku is ready to finish him off, as that's a fear beyond death. The snipe works wonders, and Weaver State take fights, kills, and dragons.
And Weaver just look like in their comfort zone right now. The snipe from Jex is just on the cake over the fact that the top lane, Ariana walking down to that dragon. But GVU, they were trying to zone off and buy time for Castle and Ariana to dragon. It took way, way, way too long. And Jexor gets that top lane turret, gets to teleport to the rest of the team. And because of the Herald as well, mid lane was primed. Even if GVU gets to dragon, they're still going to lose mid lane turret for it. So there have been 2 turrets for a dragon. Not an ideal trade. The gold snowballing heavier and heavier in Weaver's direction. They're already in a power spike. And now, with Soul Point, that soul, that mountain soul that GVU are going to have to fight for, Weaver are going to be an excellent to punish them for that.
That's a terrifying thought. And not only that, it's being led by some of the best. We mentioned the fact that Castle getting almost their signature Viego is one to really watch for. They've been stuck at 2 kills only since the early game. In contrast, this kind of, I don't want to say crazy, but absolutely going maniacal in this game. 4-0-5 on the Wukong, Prime to be the carry that Castle wishes they could be in this game 1.
Yeah, and that's fortunate. Castle had a good start to it, but The way he's playing as well, he's not even the primary engage. We've seen multiple times Sendy is the one full sending it. For better or for worse, even if he dies, he gets in there and he sends for those shockwaves. And then we see you almost as cleanup crew. And because of that, the CC chain is not, it's not flawless. Like it's not 100 to 0 necessarily, but it is being layered for maximal effect. And it's really interrupts ability to try and play through any of these team fights.
This is just a raw Otacon take here as it's a TP for reassurance. No BWSU to go ahead and happily claim that one. Go ahead, get the extra GAs to play with for the next couple minutes, which means this gold lead that Weber have gathered, about 2.4k in their favor, could be utilized to start breaking open some of those towers. We take a look at the tower game, and it's only been one for GVU, but Weber want to add on more to that two that they already have. As Nightstar showing up here and is able to break that GA early. Nightstar said, well, I'll make you pay at least once for that.
Okay, that's terrifying. And Nightstar has been probably one of the best performers, or the best performer for GPU so far this game. He won out the 2v2 with Inflame, and now he's dominating that. Jexor, though, he's been winning the 1v1, and the Fury on death!
What a buffer! Jax showing off. You banned it 17 times, and the one time you don't, a stylish fadeaway ult.
I have never seen that interaction before. I think that's a dash from Urgot, somehow buffered mid-jump. Like, I don't even know how that happened. Look, he was going to get the kill with Fear Beyond Death anyways, but that animation was weird. And that is also really bad news for GVU, because we saw Ariana get a solo kill on Jex. And as long as that happens, as long as Ariana can hold Jex, there's still a chance for GVU. But now that you're losing the split push, you're losing the team fight, how does GVU look to try and get back into this game?
I honestly do not know, because now, after that assistance in the top side, you has given Jax so much extra help in the early game. You now gets to rotate that down to the one that has also been a little bit lackluster. Jinkle sitting at 1-1-0 is now getting pressured on, allowing Goku to start farming up even further. Yes, the farm is even, but it's 1-0-4, and Goku is now also going to get a little bit of tower break gold. And it's only going to expand. Those shockwaves are going to hurt more and more as we reach these later stages.
1 minute before Dragon spawns. A Mountain Soul in Weber's pocket. The Mountain Soul is not the fanciest soul. Like, it doesn't give you extra special effects or anything. But it does make it very hard to come back against a team with the Mountain Soul, with the extra shielding, with the extra resistances. And I look at this team that GVU have. It was supposed to be Castle. It was supposed to be Ginkle. You know, trying to find these picks with the Ari Viego combo. Well, they're already struggling to do it now. How are they going to do it against extra resistances and shields? It's going to be so incredibly tough. So for GVU, they need to fight for this soul. And the way they do it is not through a theme fight, but through trying to find a pick on people moving in there. Buff of Life just wore off, so if you get a kill, it's an actual kill with death timers.
I think they're going to try and play around Nightstar as much as possible, because Nightstar quite literally soloed out Gloom earlier. So you at least know some of the calculations in there. But Weber are actually saying, screw it. We know that you have to group for Dragon right now. We're actually going to play towards the mid and force you to make a choice. However, this is going to be an attempt at a catch. Now a roll up for Jinkle as they make their way to the rest of the team, but the rest of the TP in as Weber now kind of fluctuate over, and Nightstar kind of sectioned off from the rest of the team, is not enjoying where they're currently at. Good charm lands onto you. True Shot Barrage, though, barely does any damage. What? It tickled them for about 200 HP each. Dragon now started up, so Timer has been taking good tag onto Gloom, who is stepping up in front. Castle around the edge is looking for this battle. Dragon once again continued on, but it's by Weber. They're looking for that jump in, and they do get the pin against the wall. That's a huge catch. Shockwave lands on the wall, but you is still down. BBM Death grabs one and fears out multiple others, as that is Jex to grab a second. Inflame burns to death. GVU thought they had the catch yet again, but Weaver sling their strength around. Nightstar, you ain't gonna outduel Goku as much as you wish, and Weaver, without their jungler, will take their hard-earned soul.
And the start of it looked really good for GVU. The setup is good. Look at the amount of vision they had around the area. They knew. When Weaver walked into the bush, GVU knew they were in the bush. They knew nobody left the bush. And it just didn't matter. Even a pick onto the jungler right from the get-go onto you, the Cyclone was not used at all. Weaver is just stronger right now. Their champions are strong at this point in the game. The gold they have just meant they could roll through the fight front to back. And for GVU, look, the pick is good. We talked about it. That's how they need to come back in, is get that pick. But after they got the pick, what do they have left in the tank?
Honestly, maybe a few putters and a few little clouds of smoke. Other than that, I don't see much. We are seeing this chokehold that Weber had defeating their demons from past series, and it feels like they're already on that warpath. You talked about that hope in earlier stances. Taking down Tactics was step number 1. This is step number 2. Get a game number 1 on the board, and look at this BO5 as once again Castle trying to run Sendy out of their own jungle as Baron is now in the eyes.
And for Weaver, Baron is almost secondary here. They're looking for the kills on GVU. They're trying to get GVU to fight them. Jexor soloing out Ariana again.
Jeez. You had to run the ult. This time not buffered as well as you would have liked. But that was just a walking shred, by the way. Very little used by Jexor's end.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that thinking like, okay, the problem is even though Ariana disengages, you've already used the Keeper's Verdict. So your ult's kind of unavailable. And Jexor, he didn't take much damage, so he just gets to walk right back in with the minion wave anyways. There you go, he's on the turret. And if Ariana steps up here, Ariana's going to eat the chunk, and you're just going to lose bits of turret every single time Jexor walks up to do that damage. And again, Weber, they're not in a rush, right? They have it's the perfect time for them. They've got the soul in their pocket. They are looking to team fight on the other side of the map. Heck, even if Ariana joins the fight, I still think Weber could win a 4v5 right now.
And I mean, they're going to look for a 4v1. Weber say easily that they will annihilate Jinko and take the tower in tow, now putting another point of pressure onto GVU's neck in this game.
Yeah, and with Jinko down, there's very little sort of threat onto the Baron, really. If Weber want to go for Baron, it's going to be free and sit there pushing down mid lane as a 4-man unit. That's terrifying. There's still catch potential with the Chains of Corruption on Gloomgrove. Won't need to do it as GVU recognize we can't defend this. Let's just back out. Oh, wow.
Round number 2. Round number 2, and the judge doesn't like the evidence presented. Jex is so happy right now as we do get a pause coming in here. Ariana paused game was like, that's not normal damage coming out of Jex right now.
I don't know, I think Ariana should be used to it by now. You called it round number 2, but it's been round after round after round, and Ariana can't do anything. And just to be clear, this is not Ariana's fault. I think Ariana did a fantastic job in the laning, right? We saw actually Ariana was pretty much even with Jexor after the first gank that came through from Castle. It's just after that, you know, Urgot actually scales, and Urgot is actually a champion that scales incredibly well. A lot of people think of him as a lane dominant pick. It's true. His problem in the late game is not his damage. It's not his ability to 1v1. It's his ability to team fight. And as long as they don't have to pull Jexor to a team fight, he's just going to be doing the same thing over and over to Ariana. And Poppy never gets to scale up into a 1v1 lane.
No, and Jex is also making sure to keep eyes on the sides. I saw a little bit of that Scryers just to ensure, like, the fact that Jex could probably, you were talking about the 4v5, I think Jex could 1v3 at this point quite easily, just about anyone on that side. You have the shred, you have the tankiness, and you could get away with it, but you are respecting the fact that you have that much presence, you have that much damage, and yet they could still look at you as a threat. And that, I think, is Weber really keeping the reality of the situation in front. You do not want to give any sort of advantage over to a team that is well known to kind of pop off at points. They are in this grand finals for a reason, and you can't give them any extra benefit. You want this game won because it is Fearless. This is the only chance you'll get to play Urgot, and you need to make it count.
True, yeah. The full Fearless, I think, is actually massive, right? The fact that Jexor just gets this one chance, and after this, it's not as if GVU have to ban away the Urgot anymore. Grand Finals is a best of 5, so there's at least 2 more games to come through, whether or not GVU win this game 1. But besides Jexor, the other person who I think has done a fantastic job this game is your captain, Sendy. When I had a chance to talk to Sendy was saying that, okay, yeah, you know, we did lose to GVU at the beginning of the year, but at that time we were a very, very new team. We hadn't quite gelled together. And looking at the rest of this unit, they are gelling together, and Sendy is always leading the charge. Again, the interrupt.
I like this. It's just like Tristana's rocket jump. This time Jex plays it perfectly, and Ariana's just dead. Buckler ain't gonna save you. The judges is barred. Jex takes their 7th.
Look, I wasn't aware of that particular interaction, and I suspect Ariana wasn't either, which is why they thought that the Poppy would work on paper.
Well, are you talking about earlier? Because you've already seen it once. You died to it once before. You have to be aware of it this time around, right?
You do, but it's too late. You already picked the Poppy. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
True.
You just gotta suffer through it. And Jexor's obviously a master of this champion, man. Like, he knows exactly how to do it. He's buffered it twice. Perfect. The second time was even more perfect. Like, he barely moved on that second time. Now, you'll get to see if Jexor can actually 1v3. 3 people are here.
And these three might have the damage here. Great stun into Charm, into CC layering. All right, maybe I lied a little bit, as that was still very close to a kill.
Yeah.
Castle's like, bruh, I took 4 shotgun knees in the face. That did not feel good.
Too bad Urgot's got more. He's got, what, 8 legs, 6 legs? I
Yeah.
don't even know how many feet he's got, but more than enough to keep shooting shotguns. And all this from GVU, the gank to the bot lane, great, you killed the raid boss. But it did cost you the Baron on a team that already has soul. On a team that was going to be looking to fight that Elder, to take that Elder in 2 minutes as well. Weber, they get a reset on this, wait for Jexor to kind of rejoin them, push down any lane they want, and really set up for this bot lane. All inner turrets are gone for GVU. Only their inhibitor turrets are left standing. They don't have much space to play around.
No, and honestly, that's what's terrifying. The fact that they've lost all the outers and the Elder is next on the table. Weeba are already winning a lot of these team fights. And if they get Elder behind, all of a sudden, those team fights are going to be done in what? A single shockwave, a single piercing arrow. And it'll just be that quick. They have quite literally all of the Infinity Stones this game except for one. All they need is that strength in pocket. And I love the fact that they're crowding around this bot lane, making sure Goku is safe. They really want to make sure that level 17 is available. Ariana going to grab a little extra gold. The bounty on the tower will be nice, but you have no time to spend it.
True, and one thing we have to remember is who's picking up too, right? Ariana's picking up the turret take gold. I mean, there is bounty for the team, which is nice, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make a significant difference. Nightstar pushing into the mid lane, though, shielded by the rest of the team. This is actually really good for GVU. They're trying to open up the map, get themselves a little bit more prio on this dragon rotation, but we were already there, sat waiting.
Oh, do it to him. This is a blind check in the bush. That is such a Hail Mary. You tried to step into this one. They were hunting for a clone Cyclone knockup into the Shockwave. Just blind, by the way. That is the most gutsy I've seen in some time. Another clone out as the damage is racking up here. Sendy already down to about 50%. But it looks like GVU were able to save off a little bit in their Jex, clearing out this HP bar and the wave. Ariana saying, let's keep dueling if you want to. It's a 4v4 on that side. But now Jex might get jumped on here. Flash pin into the wall. Flash available for Jex, but you're double knocked up. Jinko on the edge is ready to fight, and that's a flash out. Jex is going to run away, but that's the flash stun by Castle, trying to burn this down before the Elder spawns, and it looks like they are going to get it.
Now, did Jexor buy enough time, though? GVU did get the kill.
Yep.
Yes, they did it as Elder was spawning, but they don't have the TPs to actually get here. Jinko, most notably, doesn't have TP and already burnt Spirit Rush as well. By the time GVU show up, it might already be gone.
Is it there?
It's gone.
It is going to be timed out. Very nice stall, I believe. We were watching it tick down about a 1K a second, and I think they drew back just in time. So Weaver collect, and Jex yet again says, "I'll fall for my team all day long."
And this time, okay, they're not going to get any sort of Baron. They didn't really get any sort of Baron push. Jexor won't be wearing the Elder buff, but it doesn't matter. They don't need a split push anymore. With the Elder buff, with the gold lead that they have, I think Weaver can just look to brute force down a lane and try and just fight under enemy turret. GVU don't have great team fight options. The comp was never designed to team fight. We said before, with the Viego, with the Ahri, to a large extent with the Ezreal as well, they were looking for smaller skirmishes. They were looking for picks. And if it comes to a brute lane force at a turret, there is nowhere to make picks happen. It's just, they're in your face, they're going to team fight you, and we've already seen that even around that mid lane, GVU, it's Gloomgrove or Goku. Those are the only two they can burst out. You, Jexor, and Sandy will happily eat your initial burst and then re-engage onto you.
I like how you say Goku is one of the burst targets, and Goku is currently 0 deaths in. Has been playing such a safe game. 1-0-8, has the Saracen Embrace as that safety, and even the Zanya is 4 items deep right now. And it's just a strong piece. Right now, a great little stun as everything is burned onto Sendy, denying that engage tool. As we mentioned, Sendy has been the mainstay engage tool outside of you, and GVU say, screw that, we're not letting you do it.
Yep, and overall, this is why I said Weaver can just group up as 5, but they didn't. So Sendy unfortunately gets caught on his own. Team Muskie wasn't with him either, unfortunately. So really good play from GVU. That pick will slow down the push. You can see Weaver is hesitant to pull the trigger. More time off the Elder buff burnt. And if Weaver can't crack one of the inhibitor turrets on this Elder, it's really unfortunate. They've had Baron, they've had Elder, and GVU are stalling them out. That's kind of dicey. It doesn't get much better for Weaver. I mean, those were ideal situations. Do they wait now again for Elder to come back up and go for that instead?
I have no idea, but I gotta agree. This I didn't realize the timing. Quite honestly, it's been such a slow, almost like a slow burn pace game for Weaver that they have gotten advantages, but it feels like it has stalled out a little bit in what they can do whenever they get these objectives. Objective bounties have actually fallen off, saying, hey, GVU, you've reached that breakpoint as well. We see 4 items in Jinkall, who is actually matched at level 18. We haven't really seen explosiveness, but they could duel if they are put to the limit, in my opinion. Has that Riftmaker, has Leandries, has the Void Staff even. This is a very doable act, but they are put on the side lane pressure. I don't think Jinkall has actually left this bot lane in quite some time, so GVU kind of applying that pressure there and saying, we're going to keep one on bot, we're going to get the rest of the team rotating in together here in this mid lane.
Yeah, he's just been split pushing this entire time. He knows he's probably the safest person to do it. We already know Ariana can't. And Jinkall has TP ready to go to rejoin the team as needed. Now Goku is answering the bot lane. Goku doesn't want to duel necessarily 1v1. He just wants to wave clear and you know, just TP to the team fight when it happens. We're seeing Castle actually completely abandon this Baron call. They want to go for a pick instead, right? They want to try and find Goku on the side lane, go for the push. They know they're not going to win a team fight.
Oh,
Ariana?
no. Ariana's caught a little bit, and you are able to speed out. A great keep is ready to knock out 2. No buffer, no worries. And here's the difference. GVU, they have been spread so far out on the map that they are continuing to apply what they are hoping is a macro cat and mouse game. They're trying to push out that mid lane, and Weaver instead are kind of focused around this Baron. It's such a high objective that they want to go for. And GVU are going to try and draw them out into the open, draw them into a more favorable guerrilla warfare. Chain of Corruption misses. That's going to be a chance. You only catches 1, though, with that empowered shockwave from Goku. And a disengage factor from GVU does extremely well. Everyone from GVU is alive.
Okay, they kite back, and that's a lot of ultimates burn on the side of Weaver. Most notably, they don't have the Cyclone, they don't have the Shockwave anymore. Sendy still has Magnet Storm, and frankly, it might just be enough. Sendy's looking for it. He's taking a lot of poke, though.
Oh, but that's going to be a flash forward, and Castle has no way out. And now the fear comes down, re-engagement. GVU thought they had it, but the gold lead is just too strong. And Weaver swing fiercely, Sendy yet again. That starter, that primer for the rest of the team. Goku is going to flash over the wall straight into the Zanyas, realizes they're fed to the wolves. As the rest of the team, no, Goku! Goku straight up 1v2s and lives! Weaver say, cool, we've locked out your bot lane. Let's go ahead and chase for the base.
Okay, I stand corrected. Goku apparently not a burst target. With the Seraph's Embrace, with his own shield, was more than enough. Shockwave doesn't land on Inflame. Goku still wants more. Look at the shield!
The minion
wave! How many shields you want? Yes.
Oh no! And the minion wave was the pseudo tank as Weaver dominate game number 1 and put another cut on GVU.
And just like that, Weaver is continuing their revenge tour. After Eutectics, they now want to exorcise their demons in GVU, and they do it in such great fashion overall. Sure, they couldn't close with the Baron, they couldn't close with an Elder, but they could close with a team fight win, with a team fight composition. But as we said before, they get this comp once and only once. There isn't another champion that does what Orianna does. There isn't another champion who's the same as Urgot, especially not for Jexors in the top side. So going into game 2, I need to see from Weaver what else they've kind of got in their pocket. Do they have enough to get through a BO5?
Maybe they just go ahead and say, hey, we gave up the Urgot. It's kind of expected. We pushed the limits, and we were kind of fanning the flames of allowing the champion out in the open. Maybe you just kind of take your licks as well. You say, hey, that's the price you pay. At the same time, they've gotten over 1 hurdle of Weaver, but Weaver say we've gotten over about 3 by taking that game number 1. Step number 1 complete. Let's see if they can do 2 more. We are going to go to a short break, and when we come back, NECC will be back with more of the Division 1 League of Legends Grand Finals.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Is a
ago.
dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Ah, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
Welcome back, everyone. Here to game number 2. Weber taking their first steps to victory. The Vikings did not land as cleanly as they would like to try and pillage this grand finals. And yet there is so much more game to play. So many more matches to be seen as we have a full BO5 here in the NECC Grand Finals. And bringing you all the action, we have to give a shout out to Wenzel's Farm Snack 6. Fuel your game with Wenzel's Farm Snack 6. No mess, no distractions, just bold, protein-packed flavor to keep you locked in. Whether you're grinding ranked or leading the squad, Wenzel's keeps you powered. Grab a 6, stay in the game, crush the competition. Wenzel's Farm, fuel for gamers, flavor for champions. RMC, the flavors are gone, though, because you only get to taste them once. The ergot is no more moving into the rest of the series.
As far as I'm concerned, it wasn't just the ergot necessarily that kind of wanted for Weber. I think Sandy was snacking some of those Wenzel sticks because he was leading it and he was crushing it. And I'm looking at when I look at Sandy, Rel, like there's so many other champions that can do the same thing, right? Leona, Rakan, Alistar, like all those engaged supports that are super meta right now, and Sandy can kind of play them all. And that impresses me so much because, as we said, Sandy is somebody who's role swapping almost like every split, every year to a different role for this team. He's still the captain and he's still leading. And I do feel like the support role fits him really, really well because now he can lead by example. He can lead by charging in like he did with that Rel. And if he can do that, Jexor doesn't need to be that big hyper carry that took over the game like he did in game 1. He just needs to be a side lane split push threat. And that would be enough. The other 4 of them were playing so well together as a 4-man unit in team fights.
And it worked so well that we actually had almost a shutout in terms of the number of kills. The kills that came through actively for GVU, in my opinion, came from Constellation Prize. And when I talk about Constellation, I don't mean it in the worst way possible, but they were kills that didn't exactly lead to team fight victories. We saw them at the start of team fights, but at defeats at the end of the day. And after we saw Castle really get that Viego that we've seen him use to kind of power through some of these lanes, it was well orchestrated by Weaver to shut down that main function, and then the rest of GVU kind of crumbled afterwards. It was kind of mute from the entire squad.
Yeah, and for GVU, like I said, that composition was a little bit interesting to me because I think historically GVU has been a very good team fighting team, and here in the NECC so far they've been playing a lot of more sort of carries for Ariana, specifically in the Eutectic series. Ariana was the big player for the team who kind of took over and was, in my opinion, the MVP of the match as well. And a lot of times they kind of pair Castle with Ariana, get Ariana to carry, get Castle on something that ganks really heavily, takes over the early game like a Nidalee, like the Viego he just played, or even like a Vi that can just kind of brute force the ganks, especially once you hit level 6, get Ariana ahead, and then if anything, Grandview's used a team which has a split pusher who just kind of takes over a game. So I'm curious to see if we get to see that in game 2, get Ariana off something like the Poppy and onto something like maybe the Mbessa, which did get banned in game 1, but it got banned in second phase, right? So you can pick that Mbessa a little bit earlier. Much more interesting to me will be whether Grandview opt for the blue side, because if you do pick blue side, you get first pick, but you lose the counter pick option, and picking the Mbessa becomes a little bit dicier as an option, especially if you're going to pick it earlier on draft.
Well, of course, the other side of that is it might be open because you're on the red side this time. For GVU, they are swapping sides. They are on the red side, and Weber will be on the blue to start things off, meaning some of the bans also change around. The Gwen has obviously been a high priority for both sides. Ryze obviously rising in that priority as well on ban phases, and that can shake up what's left open. I personally feel the reason why the Urgot was left open because we saw that Ryze had to be banned away. If you're not feeling comfortable with it or anything like that, you have to say, okay, take a step back. We'll see what happens. Weber, though, let's see what their first ban is here. They got their awesome start to this game. Let's see if they can rock it out even further.
And for Weber, their bans in game 1 in the first phase was Gwen, Kindred, and Galio. So sort of 1 meta ban and then 2 more targeted bans to come through. So they might just want to keep all of that. The big question for me is whether or not Jexor and you play Gwen. I know that you does play Gwen, so they might opt to leave the Gwen open, go with another targeted ban, and try and first pick that Gwen for themselves.
Well, there we go once again. And I mean, that's Castle's. No, I'm joking. That is actually going to be the likes of Use Belveth, still denied, and a lot of respect handed over because you had an amazing game on the Wukong. Maybe not specifically because of them, but stepping up in the position when given the opportunity is the mark of a great player just as well. Kindred now banned on the other side, making sure that Castle can't get yet another carry option in there. And then the Pantheon, so heavy focus yet again to that jungle role.
Yeah, though the Pantheon can be flexed, it usually does go to you, and he's very proactive with it, getting early ganks off. Now, I'm curious if they banned the Renata. That was what GVU banned in game 1 as their third ban. But now that you're on the red side, Now that Gwen's not being banned, the Renekton was actually taken out instead, which is a bit of a Gwen counter in the laning phase, at least if it is going to the top lane. Does GVU want to stick with the Renata, or do they ban the Gwen? There we go.
Oh, they do have to. I think it has to be recognized that, yeah, the Gwen is just a little bit too big, but this does, once again, leave open that invest. And remember, for GVU, if they feel strong enough, they say, hey, the only thing that they really had to worry about was maybe that Urgot or some of the others. You can get crazy. But no, I love this. Yes, Weaver, do it. That is the best way to mess with GVU. A blind Mbessa pickup coming out here for Jex. The gauntlet has been thrown down.
Okay, respect. I mean, that's one way to remove it from Ariana's hands, but the problem is there's so many other top lane champions that you can pick right now into Mbessa. Jace is open, Rumble is open, and Rumble I thought would be a high priority pick between both of these teams, because both these teams, both the top laners play play Rumble, pardon me, first and foremost. And secondly, I think both these teams, once you pick the Rumble, they can just go for a straightforward teamfight comp, and already we're seeing GVU do just that. We talked about how good Sendy was on Engaged Champions. Well, Inflame is going to be able to pick Leona, and we talked about how aggressive he is in lane as well. This Leona not only sets up the Rumble, but it could potentially set up Nightstar for another champion who can take over the lane. If you can win the lane on Ezreal, you can win it on, I don't know, like a Draven and a Corki, a Misfortune, like more lane dominant picks.
I don't want to see that, because honestly, we are seeing this Sivir come out that you had mentioned before for Weaver. We were talking about this in pre-show, that Gloom not only has lane dominance, as we saw with the Varus, well, maybe not full lane dominance, but has the ability to do so, but also has the ability to play safe, as we do see the Sivir come out here and then matched by the Misfortune that you quite literally just called, RMC. You are the psychic here.
It's just that elementary. And GVU, that's a massive team comp already, right? You've got a tank, you've got AoE Engage, you've got Rumble, who layers over that beautifully. You get bullet time to kind of pair with that as well. In lane against a Sivir, that's going to be kind of interesting. The spell shield from Sivir does nullify some of the poke that Misfortune kind of relies on to dominate the lane, and she does outskill the Misfortune. So the other thing as well with the Sivir, specifically for Weaver and Gloomgrove, is that they use it almost as a wave clear machine. So a lot of times when they pick the Sivir, expect to see Sendy just roaming out and leaving Gloomgrove in a 1v2 situation where he's just clearing the wave over and over and over and over again. So for that reason, and the fact that we're not seeing any support bans come through from GVU, I want to see Sendy on something that can really move, something like a Rakan, maybe something like a Bard that can roam around and help out the other lanes very, very quickly.
Yeah, the other side of that is that just might be a Maokai support. Has played a few games
True,
of Maokai
has,
support,
yeah.
so if you're forced into it, it could be there. But I agree, if we want to see something a little bit more roam heavy, I mean, the Maokai can do it, but a little bit of speed in there. Give him a little bit of a faster pacing around the Rift there. 4 jungle bans targeted with a grand total, I believe that is 7, as you leave open yet another unique pick. It is going to be the Lee Sin, something that you and I love seeing Castle on. Okay,
well, here's the thing. The Lee Sin, I hate the champion in the draft. Like, you're setting up for AoE, you want to lock people in, and you pick a Lee Sin, it's dissynergy. Counter, it just messes up your team composition. But Castle on Lee Sin, I'm here for that. Like, that was his bread and butter champion. That was the champion he absolutely popped on, made his name on. So, yeah, GVU is not missing this game too. They really, really want to win. They don't want to put their backs up against a wall. Weaver, they are answering some interesting picks of their own. As you called, it is going to be the Maokai for Sendy. And they've gone with the Nocturne for you, as well as the Aurora for Goku. So a lot more agency on that composition, which GVU is desperately trying to answer with this Akali pick.
Yeah, and the reason this surprises me is Jinko was very quiet, and I mentioned this before on the Ahri. I understand, you use it kind of as a battery function in the jungle piece, but honestly, Jinko was shut down quite early. We saw how low the Ahri got before in some of those trade patterns, and the Orianna was allowed to kind of free farm and became powerhouse. Goku was amazing. But you're walking into now an Aurora, which is well known to poke out a lot of melees, especially in the top lane. This feels like after the Lee Sin, it's GVU kind of going, okay, we're going for skill here. Let's see how far we can try and outskill this game.
But Akali's one of the champions Jinko is very, very comfortable on. And besides, when you pick the Akali, you know you're losing pre-6. Like, you're not expecting to win out till you get that perfect execution. It's about surviving to that point. But once you get there, you're looking over at the Aurora, you're looking over at the Sivir, and you're just, rubbing your hands, because that's just a snack and a half for you to eat, right? Like, if Aurora misses the burst at all, which should happen against an Akali. I mean, Akali's got a lot of mobility to kind of dodge around. The moment the burst comes down, while you're in cooldowns, Akali's going to just run right over the Aurora and just bursts her out. And if she gets ahead in the mid lane as well, Gloomgrove is going to have problems. Yes, you've got a spell shield, but there's a lot of people who can really punish you. You're a mobile AD carry fighting against a bunch of AoE and 2 assassins who can dive the backline.
The animations are so great, by the way. I love this little hat. Hi, hello. Aurora's here. By the way, Aurora and
just hold on. With the nameplates over that, I'm watching Goku-chan. Like, Goku-chan, like, cutesy and like with bunny ears. As a, like, I don't know, man. Like, the name, the picture, it's just not meshing for me, you know?
No, it's someone's like OC that just went sideways in multiple directions. But honestly, I was also gonna say that if anyone plays Aurora 2-star in my TFT games, I am personally banning you. We are taking a look at this game number 2 as GVU have taken a lot more, I want to say, liberties with their unique picks here. It's been the Lee Sin, it is now that Akali, as we mentioned. And Ariana, now on the Rumble, after watching Ajax grab that Mbessa, these are going to be so many different lanes that I don't know where my eyes are going to be focused on for GVU specifically. And we even glanced over the fact that you grabbed that Nocturne, trying to deny a lot of that extra visibility, deny that ability to bring down the Wombo combo as easily.
Bro, why watch the lanes? I mean, we've cast Castle for how many years now? You should know by now. If he's on Lee Sin, you watch the jungle. Castle's going to be the one making the moves. And in lane as well, to be fair, we saw in game 1, the laning was actually fairly even across the board. Even when Jexar got his Urgot, he didn't get a significant CS lead on his own. He got a couple of ganks in from you, and then that lane really started to go his way. So truly, in the laning phase, I'm expecting to see more even lanes. And even if we start seeing a CS discrepancy, I don't think we're going to see like solo kills really start to come through on their own.
If we do, something may or may not have gone wrong, which granted, I would love to see things go wrong. Goku goes ahead and takes a quick little nap up to that top side, drops a ward on the Raptors to try and keep track of Castle as Respect handed over. Yet again, we just mentioned how Castle has been that kind of mainstay a lot of the time, been that veteran for the team, but also just a nasty jungler at points. And on a Lee Sin, you gotta keep track if you don't want to have a random sonic wave tagging you from a jungle bush. Level 3's on the top side as Ariana trying to keep within that overheat and under the heat range.
Into the mid lane, Jinko just trading heavily with Goku. And for the Akali, if you're able to trade that heavily, it's really good, especially as you hit that level 6. I expect to see Goku actually get a back off at level 5 instead. If he opts to stick around this low on health, when Jinko hits 6, it's going to be not just a perfect execution, but an immediate execution.
Scary spot to be in as, oh no, in flame. That is one of the oldest tricks in the book for a Maokai, by the way. That is, we all saw that coming, I think.
Oldie but a goodie, and Inflame taking a lot of damage.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's a Sivir, right? You're paired with, and that's the thing with Sivir. She scales up into an absolute team fighting monster later on. She shreds through teams, especially if they do group up in the bounce and groom ranks and hop around. But early game, she's one of the weakest AD carries. Heck, I've seen her lose 1v1 against a Jinx at level 1.
That's saying something. That's all I'm going to say. We're also going to talk about the fact that you actually won out in the grub take there in the top side, meaning that this is a double, not grub, a double scuttle take, actually, for this Nocturne. Very nice pickup, which is already alleviating some of that problem that Castle, or that Weaver might have in terms of the vision priority. And so Inflame and Nightstar, maybe recognizing that one, but saying, okay, we're going to go ahead, press up this lane. They're low on the HP bar. Maybe we can get some action inside the enemy jungle just as well.
Unfortunately, Cindy and Gloomgrove are already kind of low on health. Gloomgrove, very little mana, so Castle's invading. They might look for a dive on this one.
Oh, but I like this call. You go ahead and instead of the dive, you actually look to force you out. And you tried to grab away those Krugs, but it didn't really work out. You was still able to gather up. And it also allows Weaver to gather up a recall. Gloom and Cindy able to get out safely without burning any summer spells.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive for Weaver. And for GVU, for Castle specifically, really unfortunate. He's still looking for you.
Oh, no.
You get baited?
Oh, this might be
baited.
an overextension. Castle able to get over the wall, but that's up to have Gloom saying, I just bought. I got my Cole and
Goku?
Longsword. Goku-chan, though, saying, hello, I'm here to route it, and it's first blood for Gloomgrove.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Who does Castle give that kill over to? You give it over to Sivir. She's going to scale up, but Nightstar and Inflame want to punish. They are looking for it. Gloomgrove kind of low in health.
I don't know about this dive, quite honestly, and they might get it. That's a flash over the wall. Nightstar is able to survive, at least for the moment. Sendi's able to trade it to a 1v1. Now you got HP plus a red buff. He is going to burn you down. Forest fires. The forest fights back. Inflame is about to be snuffed out here as the cat wanders their way in, slows them down. B, seeing you later. That's 2 for Weaver as they claim the feat.
Well, you can take Sendy out of the carry lanes, but you can't take the carry out of Sendy. Even as a support, 2-0-1 right now, 100% kill participation, and the most kills to boot. Jinkle looking to get a little bit cheeky here.
This is out of this world aggression coming out as Jinko flashes over the wall. Another little shuriken as you flip under the tower, and you perfect execute your way out. It didn't work for Castle, but Jinko makes it happen. That's a snipe on the back, and Jex misses. But you do have flash, and you have plenty of tools to get into the mix. There is no flip over the wall, so it looks like Jex will be able to secure this kill, especially since Goku has not gotten a single assist, but their presence has routed more opponents than not.
True. It feels like every time they're like, okay, we know that Goku's on his way, just execute to somebody else. Now, I don't know if that's the right idea, necessarily. Yeah. To be fair, Aurora is very scary in the mid-game, but giving over all those kills to like a Sivir, to an Mbessa, that can definitely come and bite you in the back in the late game. Goku has not gone back to lane, by the way. He's still hovering this top side. I don't know if he's thinking about going for Ariana, but Jexor is not healthy enough to make that gank work.
No, and I'm still a little bit flabbergasted, honestly, as we do see a little bit of posturing. I want to point this out right now. Jex is, of course, getting flash on here as they have to flash away to safety. Ariana is starting to exert their pressure. But namely, Castle was actually hiding in a bush, forcing Goku back, and maybe that's what you're waiting for. Goku is going to be safe getting back to tower, but Castle goes for those grubs. I just want to point out a lot of these kills that went down for Weaver have been on unexpected heavy invades and almost an overextension by GVU as they're almost just testing the limits, and the limit testing did not go well.
Yeah, it really does feel like Weaver did their homework. As soon as they saw the Lee Sin being locked in for Castle, they knew that GVU was going to play very, very aggressively, and they've been able to answer that aggression that Castle is putting on. I mean, you can see the mechanics Castle has, right? The fact that he almost got the kill, he gets out, situations like that, like it's all well and good, but Weaver are playing more strategically. They just got more members to be able to answer you, and now you is level 6. Paranoia is available. You get to start being aggressive now.
And of course, that dive is still going to come through as they go ahead and hit this tower, and they free up one after losing one as well. And they even had Goku on the back end, so 1-for-1 for Weaver. Goku going ahead and spinning their way out from between the realms. And I don't think Jinkle is going to be happy about this 2v1 position, so a little bit of an awry tower dive as you give a shutdown, I think, over to Nightstar.
Yeah, I should think like, wait, Sendy was the one who died, but yeah, I guess Sendy was the one who had the kills. I don't know if he actually had a bounty, but yeah, okay, understandable. The idea though is good, and I do like the math that Weaver kind of did with that call, saying we're willing to trade our support for your AD carry. We just want to keep Nightstar down, and more importantly, they got yet another kill. They got another assist onto Gloomgrove. They're just trying to get this Sivir accelerated as far as possible to the point where she can 1v2, and get to the point as well where in team fights she's going to be somebody you can't ignore, where she can shred through the squishies. Because one thing we didn't talk about was the lack of tanks on both these teams, especially GVU. Right? They've only got Inflame. That's it. Ariana and Rumble is going to be rather squishy as the game goes on.
Another big point is, even if we talk about tanks, Inflame ain't gonna be a tank for a while. Like, let's be honest, no support is gonna be a tank right outside of that gate. So I'll be sitting here kind of wondering exactly when that extra health comes through, and Gloom might just be like, hey, watch these boomerangs fly. Dragon was taken though, so GVU able to take that one, and not only that, we're able to claim 3 grubs as well. So once again, for the Vikings, they have had a good macro game side start to this setup for game number 2.
I don't know what it says about GVU that they can be the more proactive ganking team in the early game, mess that up, and still get all the objectives in the early game.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. Like, that is, that is just weird.
It's like, yeah, we're so good that we can still mess up and still be fine in the early game. That's it. I don't think they can afford to keep messing up too much longer, so hopefully they clean up their game a little bit. I'd like to see some of their ganks actually find success. And like we said before, for Weaver, the moment you hit level 6, Paranoia was available, we can start seeing them start to make some aggressive moves as well. Try and get things, rolling on their terms. Goku has been very proactive as well, constantly looking for roams. He's doing it again with you into this top lane.
And And right now, that's just going to be the paranoia being brought down. Snipe from afar. Red carpet is laid out, but the equalizer doesn't equal a single thing, or maybe it does. However, that's between worlds as Goku gets their extra. Of course, Castle was around, but I think Goku was just like, bro, I have been helping out so much. Give me a kill at least.
Yeah, he really wanted that. Now, it is worth noting, if Castle wasn't there, that actually would have been an execute onto Goku.
Yes.
Ariana didn't actually get any damage down, so really unfortunate for Weaver. Again, it does feel like they're making the cold calculations and they're liking their odds when they make these plays. This one did come back to bite them a little bit, and not only did they trade 1-for-1, unfortunately, but mid lane as well as an issue. Nightstar.
That's a good solar flare, though, to go ahead and land Gloom out on the side, but no real summoner spells, but you went ahead, recalled, got the speed ups, and forces a flash out of Nightstar, so GVU got caught out in Flame, now caught on the edge, and unfortunately, your support right now ain't no tanks around. Oh my god, what a tag with the Q as well! Barriers up, you is gonna dive, and can you get the last auto? Yes, you do, and you live! You, the monster here in Game 2, was a powerhouse in Game 1, but now to be feared.
Is doing it over once again. We talked
OTP?
about it. Jinko here on cleanup duty. Gloomgrove cancels the base.
I mean, that's a cancel, but wasn't spotted. Right now, eyes are on the squishy. Sendy will be the first to go down. Yu is going to try and execute, which I think they will get. So Jinko only gets one.
Yeah, Gloomgrove able to get out to safety. I think Weaver's going to be very, very happy with that particular trade. And it just feels like GVU, they're trying so hard. They're making all the moves. It's just not working out for them. They keep losing out. Now, again, that's when it comes to kills. That's when it comes to ganks. Yes. But when it comes to objectives, they've been dominating. And once again, on these grubs, no contest whatsoever. You had to execute bot lane. He won't be here to steal anything away. And Goku right now is stuck in mid lane with no backup, while Inflame is already there with Castle.
And this also leads into how Game 1 ended, by the way. Weaver actually got out to that lead, and it started to ramp up around that 15-minute mark. But keep in mind that they took a long time to close out this game because they were struggling to kind of make those macro game rotations. This time, though, that macro is not even worried. I eat my words immediately, as that is you to chomp down on top of Castle. Castle was able to snipe away that last scrub.
Yeah.
So they do get all three of the neutral camps. But still, my gosh.
So the game still stays consistent. Weaver get the kill, GVU get the cap.
I hate that Seesaw actually works. That's all I'm saying.
It's keeping
the balance scaling coming out.
It's keeping GVU in the game, though. You look at the goal difference, it's only 700 gold, despite the 4-kill differential between the two of them. Part of that's also coming from CS. One thing we haven't really talked about is the fact that while there's been a lot of kills, Nightstar and Ariana are well and ahead still in terms of CS. And it's showing a little bit in gold. You know, like 200 in the top lane, 400 in the bot lane that we're seeing right there. Mid lane as well. Jinko is also ahead because of the extra kills. Does cancel the back from Goku here. So GVU is laning better. And that makes the mid game very, very interesting now. Because GVU have the backbones of a teamfight composition with the Leona, Misfortune, and Rumble, but they've also got the backline dive of the Lee Sin and the Akali, whereas Weaver, they're much more just about like skirmishing than they are about front-to-back team fighting.
Right now for Goku, though, getting a taste of that backbone and maybe a little bit of the muscle as Jinko kind of flexes their already completed Lich Bane. Got that one immediately for kind of the staying power. You also taking the red buff for their own, as we do get Dragon to spawn here. If anything, GVU last time got completely closed out of all 4 dragons, but you not having a single ward on there only knows that the dragon has started up because of the earlier ward in the Tribush. Dragon already started down to about 4k HP. I wonder if they're going to be able to turn this one. Goku already
looking
back
for the steal.
at the tower, but it's going to go low. Smite it away. It's going to be caught in Flame. Might pay the price once again. Rest of the team is here. Body blocks around. A little bit of catch on the back end. Between realms is going to work, but that's the bullet time to run through Weaver. As they stepped in, Paranoia was late, and it's Weaver to pay the price for an attempt at a cleanup at the Dragon.
Paranoia turned off the lights, so GVU brought the sun, a beautiful solar flare, to set up that play. And for Weaver, look, they were kind of going for the steal, and I thought, like, that's fine. But to go for the fight was very, very risky. We come back to the one lane, which wasn't part of the action. Ariana TPing right back in, and why not? I don't have to TP out. We already won the fight, so I get to bully out Jexor, and Jexor did use his TP earlier. So if Ariana can force him out, that's free time alone in the top lane.
I have to give you credit. Inflame is now starting to step up to Sendi's level of engage tools in game number 1. And we got to take a look at this replay here. This was perfect. No lights out. You got to see all the damage go down. That's what hurts even more.
Yeah, and if anything, the paranoia unfortunately came out a little bit late, right? Everything was already seen and visible. They got the 3-man solar flare, and the setup for Nightstar, the trust Nightstar had as well on that play, right? Just immediately, as soon as the solar flare came down, unleashed the bullet time. We come back in to see Sendi burning, but able to walk away from the equalizer for now. No follow-up CC. You can see the cooldown for solar flare just came up for Inflame.
But the thing is, you mentioned this before, the fact that Sendi, we mentioned that, you know, having that rel, Leona is still in that wheelhouse, and Flame is playing like a Leona should, stepping up, willing to fight, willing to engage, willing to put their body on the line for this game, and that's why GBU, I feel that's a big reason why, that they still feel very competitive in this game. We talked about their global advantages that they have, and they got in the last 4 neutrals, and are even looking for this Herald as well, even with somewhat limited vision. They're so actively on the map, constantly looking for a fight. And even Castle is looking towards his top side. I mean, Ariana has yet to really get into the mix either. At 144 CS, already has the Leon trees ready to go.
And that's the scary part to me. Because so far we've not seen the Equalizer get into play. And Equalizer in the early couple of fights, especially, you know, pre-20 minutes, is one of the biggest ultimates you can bring to a team fight. GBU are winning without that, and they will likely continue doing so well into sort of the 25-30 minute mark as well. Weber is the one who needs to figure out how they want to play these fights. It feels like the shoes on the other foot from game 1, where GBU couldn't team fight. Well, now Weber can't team fight. And if you're behind with the composition they have, granted, it's only like 100 gold, 100 plus gold right now. It's very, very minuscule. But if that lead grows in favor of GVU, I start to get worried for Weber and how they're going to look to turn things around as objectives spawn.
Castle landing the Sonic Wave. I feel wondering if they can get away with the kick right there. They were like, can I do this? Like, they were poshing 100%. And here's the deal with Castle. Castle is 2-2-2, has still been denied a lot of their earlier fights. I mean, the early game looked a little bit rough, but they're just hunting to try and make up for some of those mixed up fights. So I love the fact that you're still posturing and getting ready. And yet, it's still a dance around this Herald. 2 minutes left on Dragon, so, I mean, you don't really have a whole reason to be down here. But it is a nice little standoff on both ends as everyone goes, okay, guns down, let's go back to the laning phase.
You know, maybe that's what Coach Shearer was talking about when he said that Castle is now consistent and unselfish. Consistent in that he doesn't have Lee syndrome anymore. He doesn't just walk into that. And unselfish in that he's willing to hold the ult to, you know, set up his team for the plays instead of stealing all the kills for himself on a champion that doesn't skill that well.
Maybe that's it. Right now, though, Castle is saying, yeah, now we get this little extra fight, but it's a 2v2 on the bot side as Goku saying, I got some help too, and that's a blinded shot as there is no help. Goku lives. Execution by Jinko as you're able to make it work. However, the flash to follow means Jinko has to hightail it out. Both supports here rotating as like mind think alike. And playing with the stun, though, denies any follow-up, and that was a lot messier than I think GVU were expecting.
I think that's a situation in which Castle should have just gone all in and tried to take the kill himself, ends up dying. Hey, but he did get the kill over Jinko, and the Akali is killing. Now 3-1-0 as well. The kill, I think, contributing to that Dark Seal, which Jinko has in pocket. You know, it's one of the terrifying things to see a fully stacked Dark Seal on an Assassin. And at the rate they're going, Jinko could very well hit that by the end, just interrupting you right now, slowing things down, buying more time, because in the mid lane, yep, we got a glimpse of Nightstar beating out Gloomgrove in that mid lane push, and even though Sendi does get there, too little, too late, mid lane turret goes down, first break of the game, really open up the map.
And it helps so much as well. Nightstar has been someone that we want to see really pop off, and the misfortune has already given us a little bit of that hope, right? That the bullet time did so much work. and now we get to build that up even more. Dragon is spawning in about 10 seconds. It is going to be a Cloud Dragon, which is amazing because Cloud Soul gives even more movement speed for Castle, for Jinko, for Ariana, for Inflame. Everyone on GBU would love to have this extra movement to reposition for teamfights that they weren't really able to win back in game number 1. However, Weaver saying we want to do the same as they actually rebuke the getaway, and Sendi goes down. Nightstar bullet time straight in the middle of the lane, and it breaks up the fight even further. Goku trying to get into the mix, but are they going to make it work? Equalizer once again misses on a high note, but on another, in reality, it is GVU to take 2. Nothing more to be said, though, as Ariana dancing around Jax, but GVU still take away the jungle and the support.
actual unironic zoning ultimate from Ariana there. It doesn't land the damage, but it actually did cut off Gloomgrove, and Gloomgrove got put in a really awkward position where he couldn't quite get out of the fight properly, but also didn't want to step in with the range that GVU was playing at. And GVU, they're able to find the extra kills in the back end, most notably the kill into Yu's the important one, because now Yu's dead, there's no smite available, GVU get to continue their stranglehold over objectives, and even better, because there's no contest whatsoever, because it's a Lee Sin, Castle can slow out the dragon, be healthy, and actually look at the Herald. Weber won't be able to set up and try and trade objectives.
We're going to take a little bit of a look here as the tower actually goes down, but watch how this fight breaks out. Sendy actually jumped in, and then Inflame says, nah, we're not disengaging. I really like that because they are strong, and then, of course, Nightstar just optimal bullet time position straight in the middle of the lane.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they didn't try and overhold the bullet time to kind of try and get more people. Like, you got the single target, go for it. You as well, Matt, that knocked back on you. That's a little bit rough to see, but you can see Yu's mindset as well. Is that we've already lost person, we're going to try and trade even. It didn't quite work out, unfortunately.
Jesus, that is an aggressive beast, but Inflame still burns them down instead and says, hey, you collapse on me, I'll collapse on you with the rest of my team, as it's Weber's turn to overstep their stay. GVU punt Weber out of their jungle.
Well, Drake difference? Maybe. I mean, they really took cost for GVU did. Really well played from them as well, and you know, we had said that Ariana's not been really able to get into the fight proper up to now. The equalizer wasn't able to be used. Well, if we were going to play to the side Ariana's already at, then obviously it's going to be so much easier for Ariana to try and make those plays. And unfortunately for Weber, not only do they lose out the kills, but Orbital, it's still 100% neutral objective control from GVU. They have not dropped any neutral objectives. Heck, they haven't even lost a turret yet.
This is one of those moments that, on the side of Weaver, you hate. You caught the enemy jungle. You caught them so much, and yet you're the one getting towered out. Jex is like, bro, what happened to us getting those kills? What happened to us winning some of these earlier fights? What happened? We need to get some of these macro plays, and Bloom is going to try, and yet Inflame is yet again in your face, denying that tower take. Ariana this time might be on that pain point, as you, with 5 kills to their name, is going to try and run down Ariana. Gloomgrove here to help out, and it looks like they will get that finish. Gloomgrove gets the shutdown, and the first attempt at a global objective is the Otacon here at 22.5 minutes.
Yeah, critical pick onto Ariana with the objective there. GVU, I don't think they can contest, but Castle is going to look for a steal. Does Inflame have a ward? They've got a ward there and there.
Oh my god, he's using Herald as a buffer for the vision. They might even try and write it in, but they're going to snipe it out. Down to about 2k. Don't do it, Castle. Don't do it to them. The fight breaks out even further. Bullet time to wreck their lives. Spike goes the way of you. You is able to get it, but who is able to get away? Absolutely nobody. This is the cleanup that GVU won. They say you got the Otacon, we get the flowers, we get the gold, we get your lives. That is GVU to take 3 for 1. And claim even more of the flowers.
Chico is trying to get Shelly to safety. Unfortunately, gets taken out. And Orbital, let's talk Otacon for a second. Because for Ruinous Otacon, you get a big part of the buff was the blood roses that spawned. So you don't get that if you're dead right after the fight and can't pick it up. Weber gets the Otacon, but it's GVU who picks up the blood roses on the back end of it. So they get the adaptive force, the AD, the AP, and they're able to push in immediately after. Look, Nightstar gets solo mid lane turret, and Nightstar, sure, he's been focused down a lot. He's got 3 deaths, but he's still able to get a lot of gold and still be very, very relevant. This fight was insane too. I think for the side of Weber, they have a choice to make. Do we fight or do we turn? And they thought about looking for the fight, but it didn't work, unfortunately. You can see how quickly GVU was able to kind of get in there, and props to you once again. You is struggling this game, but he's still trying to have a lot of relevance. He's going to try and have relevance in the top side as well.
He has the relevance in the kills, but unfortunately HP not so much, as you are burned away. Ariana saying, yo, I got punished by the Urgot last time. Let me punish you back, as a TP to center stage brings you to ruin just as well. Jex getting the Poppy treatment this time around. Goku nowhere to go. Ariana triple here for GVU, as the cleanup is behind. Gloom is all gloom and doom, as that's an ace for the Vikings here in game 2.
And this might very well be one of the last fights we see this game, as all of GVU is up, available, and pushing. Once again, Nightstar still sat in that mid lane, going to go for the inhibitor as well, or inhibitor turret, pardon me, as well on that push. And yeah, it's just rough for Weber. Weber's actually really lucky that the Ruinous didn't go over to GVU, or the experience gains they get from that would make this, I was going to say unplayable, but it's kind of unplayable already, isn't it?
Yeah. It's unplayable in what way? Like, I can't do anything, or at least you can move around. That's really what it is, I think, at the end of the day. Double inhibitor gone, and GVU have been given the best opening that they could possibly ask for. I'm pretty sure that wasn't a true flash. I think Inflame Hextech flash over the wall, but I swear to God, if you wanted to pull, like, the most bro move ever and burn your flash just to leave base, I wouldn't even be mad. Inflamed has been playing out of their mind and deserves to kind of have the spotlight on them.
Yeah, all these supports are really stepping up so far in this series. And
yeah.
I'm actually curious over what happens as the series goes on, right? By the time, at the rate we're going, GVU is likely to win game 2. And that means we're going to have at least another 2 games to come. By the time you hit game 4, there's a very real possibility that all the engaged supports are either picked or banned. In which case, Inflame and Cindy can no longer be the sort of big in-game engagers. And I'm very curious to see who steps up for these teams at this point. Yu's been trying, but the Paranoia engages have not really, unfortunately, worked out for him. And Castle, generally, like, I know he's played Sejuani in the past to a decent level, but those aren't the sort of champions we tend to associate with him. And the Wukong's already been taken off the table. So who engages for these teams?
Well, you did say Castle is starting to become that selfless jungler, and sometimes you just gotta be selfless and grab that Sejuani, grab that tank. Yu, though, says, I'm very, very selfish. I want that kill that I know I probably can't get, and that's gonna be the turn. So, with the lights turned out, you are able to force a fight back instead with the bullet time. But this might be the chance. GVU are actually out of some of the big ticket damage ultimates. They're going to bring the Realm out as well. Snipe misses, though, as Jack's sword splits the uprights, but you are able to dance on the Nightstar's back. So, Weaver looking for a chance, but they are getting shelled out here. And again, the raw damage outside of the ult might be too much. Weaver dancing on the back end, and guess who's coming around the edge? Yes, they get a shutdown, but in comes Jinkle to clean it up, and GVU rout the rest of Weaver. That's another catch onto Jex in a 2v1. Ariana running for their life. Castle letting them bait out, waiting for the cooldowns. And it is going to be that finish as Jinkle finishes off Goku. And it's going to be an ace for GVU yet again.
Super's in the base as well, means Castle can just walk right on in. Ariana has TP, can rejoin very quickly. 4 seconds for Sendy to come up, but I don't think he can hold this whatsoever. He's got to stall for the 10 seconds that Gloomgrove needs to respawn.
And poor Sendy, you can only do so much. You are a support. You are a Maokai, and you recognize when your force is gone. The fire has been lit in both Weaver and GVU. As, ladies and gentlemen, we have a series on our hands.
Best of 5 guaranteed at least 4 games now, Orbital, with the outcome of this game. And that's why we're talking a lot after game 1 about, okay, what do you do now without the Urgot? What happens to Weber? And we talked about a lot about how Grandview just need to switch up their draft a little bit. They changed it up, and what a performance coming through from Grandview. That last fight, I want to highlight too, that wasn't a 5v5. That was a 4v5. Jinkle came in late and only played cleanup to find Goku at the very end of it. The main fight was done by the rest of his team in a 4v5 situation, and they won that as well. Grandview's laning right now is utterly dominant.
I will also say, it's only right that both teams get to go ahead and swing a gold lead around. That last fight was messy as well. You talk about it being a 4v5, all the ultimates pretty much missed. We saw the equalizer land. Everyone was basically scattering to the wind, and it quite literally was an item difference at the end of the day. The fact that Nightstar lived thanks to the Bloodthirster being able to kind of prop up a little extra in terms of the healing. There was so much that went right and wrong in that it makes me excited. For game number 3, we now have, as you said, some big ticket champions gone. Castle's Lee Sin, dominant performance, very, very nice as well in the kill feed. Sendy having a little bit of a tough time, but hey, got it out of the way. No Leona, no Maokai this time. What do you put onto the Blitzcrank and Thresh? Are we going to get some old goodies coming out of the old seasons? I have no idea. You do not want to miss this fire action right now in the Div 1 Grand Finals. The NECC will continue in just a bit as we go ahead and go to a short break and get ready for Game 3.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Has a
ago.
dog been digging in here?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
At this point, both fires have been lit, both teams are ready to go, and we are seeing why they deserve to be here. Right now, it is GVU snapping back in game number 2 in just about the same way that Weaver did in game 1. And we swear, we talked about the jungles, we talked about having that explosiveness, and yet it's Sendy and Inflame who seem to be taking the spotlight once it trails to late game.
Oh, sorry. Looks like
The
I
minion got the
have
mic
mic
now.
issues.
The minion got the mic.
I got Gangplank supports. No, but for anybody who complains about how like supports don't have fun, well, watch this series, right? Because this series right now, they're defining the series. We're seeing Sendy and Inflame. Their engages really are kicking things off. Their roams are kicking things off. They're always where the action is, and you really do love to see it. Now, we did talk a little bit about champ pools and how that might affect things as we go through the best of 5. But right now, in Game 3 Orbital, a lot is still open. Alistar, Rakan, Nautilus, if we're talking engaged supports, are still all on the table. And below that, there, of course, they're the Hook champions as well. Thresh and Blitzcrank, we start to run out.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to get even messier, we've seen some silliness occur. We've seen even the Enchanters get into the mix. We've seen aggressive Namis. We've seen aggressive Lulus, although Lulu is currently a little bit neutered with the current, changes and everything like that. We've seen aggression in other ways, maybe not as direct as a hook or jump in. So, of course, there can be fluctuations in there. At the current moment, though, it does seem a lot riding on the bot side, but we have to give credit. Inflame looked great, but that came off the back of Nightstar also still having a lot of lane presence and being able to use this misfortune that you rightly called out to counter this Sivir in the draft even.
Yeah, and I love the fact that some of those fights as well, like the one around mid lane, it wasn't about setup from the rest of the team. Nightstar just found a good angle for the bullet time. Even if it's on just a single target, he knows when to use it, and he's not afraid to use it on a single target. It's also worth noting as well that in this series so far, the lanes have been kind of even, right? Like in game 1, it was Weber winning out in the top lane, winning out in the mid lane. In game 2 was GVU winning out in the solo lanes. But the bot lane, it has been Nightstar and Inflame who have won the lanes both games. Even when they were losing in game 1, it was Nightstar's Ezreal that we were looking at to try and give hope, to give that damage, to give that chance of a comeback win for GVU. Now, it didn't happen, but the hope was there. And that does mean that I feel like we do need to spotlight this bot lane and Nightstar as a player as well. We said before, he used to be a big late game carry, but now he's winning the lane. And he still obviously has the hands to win team fights. And I think that might be where Weber need to focus a little bit more on, try and give Gloomgrove a better position to play through in the mid game.
I mean, we saw it a little bit, honestly, with how much he was actually focusing on that bot lane. We talked about the fact that there were a lot of mess-ups or some mistakes. I don't want to call them mess-ups because it was, I think, Grandview kind of testing the limits, seeing what they could get away with Castle on that Lee Sin. I mean, we saw Castle quite literally diving for you all the way back at base gates. But it's a whole difference when we saw actually 3 tower dives come out from Weaver, 1 in the top side, 2 in the bottom lane specifically to try and get the likes of Gloom ahead. So maybe we do see that again as, a little bit of a mix in there if you and Castle want to go at it. What we don't want to see, at least, or maybe we do want to see, is Ariana as well as Jex once again duke it out. First, it was Jex getting a lead. Now it's Ariana. I don't know who's going to get a lead in game 3.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think back to, okay, so top lane really does feel like an island right now. Right? Like last game, we saw Ariana got locked up there with the Rumble, couldn't really leave lane because of the pressure Jex sort of putting down, but it didn't matter, right? And it feels like whoever's winning the top lane wins it comprehensively to the point where it starts affecting the rest of the map as well. Because whoever's winning just kind of starts applying a whole bunch of turret pressure. Heck, Ariana with the Rumble. Rumble is not known as a split pusher. He's not a split pusher. But Ariana became a split pusher last game because he got the lead and he sat in his lane and just kept pressuring in over and over on Jax over. Took that turret as well, pretty much solo. So yeah, it does with the top lane. The counter pick does matter, and I wonder how that plays into draft a little bit, right? So far, I do feel like both games, ironically, Ambessa got first picked, yeah. So the counter pick Rumble that came through really helped out for GVU. In game 1, Jexor picked first, but he picked Ergot, which was his pocket pick. So going to game 3, if Weber want to opt for red side, I actually don't hate the idea of it necessarily. I think there are still enough champions open that red side's not losing out too much by giving first pick, and getting the counter pick might become key for Weber to find an advantage somewhere.
Well, the thing about it is, remember back in game number 1 when we did see Weaver on that blue side, I believe to start, or brain loss.
They were red side in
nope,
game.
They were red,
1.
right?
Yeah.
And I was taking a look at that, and I was like, hey, they made sure to lock in that Urgot in position 3. Instead, made sure that they were able to ban out 2 more. So even if we don't see the counter, it's a whole other idea that they will try and utilize that to their own making. You know, make sure that their top lane really gets that. If they are identifying that, once again, it is Jex and Ariana that are dictating, you know, most of the pacing of this mid to late. Of course, we give credit where credit is due. Jinkle, I had to touch on mid lane because I'm a mid laner myself, and I want to give credit to mid laners. And yet, both Jinkle and Goku are constantly almost seeming like the ones that pick up the scraps at the end. I don't want to say they're not having impact, because Goku had some amazing ults in there to really turn the fight with that Aurora, and yet it feels like they are happy to join in. They're happy to help out. As we head into Game 3, I'm curious to see how that works out as well.
Yeah, so right into the draft, we do see that Weaver is going to be red side for this one. So that should be interesting in terms of the counter pick options. I know Jexor has a lot of interesting pocket picks, Warwick actually being one of them. Though I really don't know what situation you're going to pull that one out in. Now, while we see the bans coming in, so far it's just the Belveth, the Galio, nothing too crazy yet.
Yep, same thing.
I did want to talk about Jinkle and Goku a little bit, because Jinkle, surprisingly, actually didn't do that much damage. He did about 11,900. He ended with 711 scoreline, which is good. I look over to Goku. Goku ended 3, 5, and 4. He almost doubled Jinkle's damage last game at 2,000. So that's an interesting one. Jinkle looks more stylish, but Goku's stats, at least his DPM, is higher for now.
Yeah, but it still leads into the fact that they are not the stars, and I love the fact that they are ready to help out, though. We have seen, as we talked about, Goku willing to rotate in, help out, and cover, and maybe that's why we see it happen, because so much fighting was happening on the top bot inside the jungle. Mid laners don't get that much action. Will that turn? No idea. Maybe we just see Gangplank in the mid, ult other lanes, you know, screw moving out of there. We do see the bans coming out here, as GVU are still primed for that jungle, as it's a triple jungle ban against you. The Xin Zhao being denied. Now I want to see Weaver do the same. Throw a ban in there. No, they still have to ban the Gwen. Ryze is open, but man, do they not want to have you have a good game.
I think both teams are scared to give the Gwen over. Gwen, we can counter as half a jungle ban. She can go top, she can go jungle. Either of them works, so we'll call it, what was that, 4.5 jungle bans coming through. It does leave a lot of things still open. Like we said, Kalista is open. Corki being picked up right away for the side of GVU, which surprises me a little bit considering what we saw from Jinkle a lot. Actually, I was going to say, we see Corki mid mostly, but I think this one might be for Nightstar. Nightstar plays a lot of Corki. He's really good at it, especially teamfight positioning.
And I mean, when it comes down to how far can you position without getting away, or by getting away, the Vi says no, you don't get to go away. You is once again going for this kind of all-in die potential, and when you have that lockdown, you can match it with the likes of a Ziggs. You can land that that Mega Inferno Bomb. You can get all the extra damage, so the Yordle's right now out to play.
Okay, yeah, and Ziggs as well. This one's going to be for Gloomgrove in the bot lane. He has some interesting AP picks, including the Ziggs and the Seraphine. Again, you'll notice, very good wave clear champions that can be left in a 1v2 situation. And paired with the Vi as well, it does mean that if Vi gets dragged all the way to the back, that's fine. Ziggs bombs can go anywhere anyway, so you'll still have that damage to back them up. For GVU, though, they're going to the tank line. Nautilus at gate support, like we talked about, really, really strong right now. And it is unfortunately going to be, well, I say unfortunately, it's going to be Castle and Sejuani.
Don't call it unfortunately.
I mean, come on, man. We want to see Castle style on people. But yeah, Sejuani's a great pick for the team. And sometimes you got to do what you got to do for the team.
Listen, if there's gonna be any style, I 100% want to see the drifting glacial prison. I want to see that drifting, you know, sideways angle, launch it, catch out Gloomgrove, or catch out whoever's going in the mid. Either, as right now, as you said, the tank lines are being built. Jex going ahead and saying, hey, I don't know what you're gonna throw at me, but I want that tank. Cassante locked in here for that top lane, and you immediately start bending away some of those lane bullies.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's something we see a lot. I need to see a Jace ban come out, though, as well, from the side of Weber. Jace is probably the premier top lane bully against Cassante right now, and the matchup is almost nigh unplayable for Cassante. Like, there's very little you can do against a Jace. They go to Jax and said, okay, I get it. Jax is a big threat, arguably a bigger late game threat, but given how the top lane has been an island and it's been very heavily one side or the other, I think the Jace counter matchup would hurt you a lot more.
Oh, jungle, and now even a touch on the bot side as we're seeing some give and goes. Heavy emphasis from Weaver on the top side, which makes sense, but GVU actually splitting between mid and support, making sure that the Alistar isn't available, which you mentioned before could be used by Sendy to gain a little bit of lead. Sendy actually loves playing, I believe, that Alistar as well, but the Rakan is in there, another well-played champion, and a great tool to actually dance between the front and back line just as well, matching if we do see you go in this time having a little bit of a dive, buddy.
Yeah, and opting for the Talia ban does feel like GVU was kind of forcing
Yes.
the Rakan to come through. Okay, this is not the Jax. This is not the Jace. Fiora, she's a very interesting champion. I know in the LPL, they basically consider that if you're a good top laner, Fiora wins every single matchup at the end of the day. So, Ariana is good. Is he good enough to switch from Swiss Army knife to rapier wielder?
Yeah. At this point, it might even be a cutlass or two because of how hard it can slice through HP bars with that true damage. But once again, as we mentioned before, this ability by Jinko to kind of soak in the mid lane, make sure that they are having the extra damage for the team fight, went with the Victor. But huge shining light in an R5 position, this rise that has literally been on the rise with some of those changes locked in for Goku. So eyes once again now in that mid lane just a little bit, as Weaver have actually gotten some great pickups here.
Yeah, and when I see this rise come through, first of all, it is getting more meta with the Rod of Ages buffs that it received for the laning and all that. Rise did kind of become a champion that has risen up in meta prio, but also for Goku as well. When I see the rise being picked up, it actually reminds me of like back when. So I know Goku from like before collegiate here, back when he wasn't here in North America.
He's got history, is what we're saying.
He does, and it reminds me of back when I used to see him in Brazil, back in like 2018, or more recently in 2022. He used to play Rise there, so he's a very, very comfortable Rise player, and with the buffs as well, I do feel like Rise is stronger than he used to be. The tankiness can be an issue, and it does scare me a little bit to see this. Now, I don't think Rise necessarily is the best pick into the Victor. Victor's gravity field can absolutely mess with him. The Chaos Storm can stick on him. You can burn through a lot, but in terms of creating more of a front line for space for Gloomgrove to have a champion that can kind of have his own initiative, and most importantly, for the Realm Warp, Orbital. I need to see the Realm Warps actually land. You can do a lot of interesting things with them, and I've seen Goku do it in the past.
Okay, explain to me how you land a Realm Warp, RMC. I've never seen someone land a Realm Warp. It doesn't do damage, right?
No, well, it can give you a lot of psychological damage if you Realm Warp to the wrong places.
What was it? It reminds me of the Faker clip, just randomly TPing teammates into the enemy base when you're winning. It's just, it gets really funny. So I agree. And not only that, again, if you don't see the rise, you don't know who's teleporting with until about, I think, like 0.25 seconds beforehand. You will see how many units are moving in with the fight. But I agree, the psychological game that can be played can have a huge kind of impact on this game number 3, especially considering both these teams are currently sitting at a 1-1. They need this victory to get closer to that championship point.
Yeah, and more than that too, like I'm thinking sticking the landing in a way with this Realm Warp, because let's talk a little bit about you and the Vi, right? We said before that, okay, with the Vi, at least you've got the Ziggs to follow up. Now it's not just the Ziggs bomb to follow up. Even the entire team can follow up, right? If you ends up being dragged all the way to the back, Goku can bring the rest of the team with them, so that it's not just a Vi getting overextended, getting dragged into the back line where they're isolated in a 1v5 situation anymore. Now, it does take a lot of coordination to get that right, but that's a big question, right? Can you get the Realm Warp right? Can you actually do that and help out your teammate instead of, you know, potentially baiting your teammate into a dive with no actual backup to come through?
Oh my gosh. And right now, there's no backup for Sendy, as Gloom is just like, bro, all I got's a Q. Nightstar and Inflame are more than willing to trade out some of that HP, making sure to make use of that. Not going to hit level 2, but are going to get another hook as the Ignite goes down. And Sendy has to flash, even burn the heal that is in early level 1 recall.
But he lives, and that's critical.
Yes.
I think if Nightstar had Phosphorus Bomb, probably would have been a kill right from the get-go. But right away, that's what we talked about, the fact that this bot lane, it's not even the champions, it's just straight up Nightstar and Inflame have been winning the 2v2 situations, and that's been locking Sendy in. We talked about in the pregame of game 1 that Sendy is known to be a really good roamer, right? Like, he can get around, help out all the lanes, he knows what the lanes want, but even if he knows what they want, if he can't move, he can't give that to them, and it's all just, you know, okay, like, I know what you want, but I can't deliver it to you. And for Gloomgrove, I don't know at what point he's actually going to be able to roam. Normally it's after you pick up the Lost Chapter and you have a lot of mana, but if Inflame and Nightstar get too far ahead by that point, they can start looking for dives on the Ziggs.
And that's terrifying. We've seen the power of Nautilus before, even though he's fallen in priority of support champions. It enables some of this chaos, and honestly, I think considering Weaver kind of started it and came number 2 with the tower dives, I have a feeling GVU are going to try it as well, you know, get a little bit in the mix. We haven't talked about it, but Castle and you are both completing their first clears on the jungle, and Castle's actually the first one to roam in after skipping their Gromp, and is going to be looking for a tower dive of their own. However, Goku roaming around in a topside brush in the river, maybe making them think twice. Ariana, of course, already winning a little bit of this fight itself. Castle, though, realizes you goes over the wall, both getting tagged out, and is now getting punched out a little bit further. Doesn't get the full stacks, so Castle is going to be more than happy to go ahead and take that scuttle for themselves.
Yeah, and I love that you pointed out that Goku's sort of shift. He fogged into the bush, and that alone was enough to dissuade any sort of dive from coming through. Sendy walking into the bush.
Uh-oh.
I don't know about this
Oh,
one,
that's
Sendy.
not good. No, there's nowhere to go. You have no flash and heal, and Inflame and Nightstar just grab our eyes and force us to look at the spot lane.
But respect to Weaver for not sending a missing ping down there. I'm not sure what Sendy... Maybe he thought that Nightstar had already paced off, and it was just going to be Inflame in that particular bush, but Gloomgrove had no mana. So you were not going to get any help from the Ziggs whatsoever. You already burnt the heal and flash from earlier. Jexor getting slowed down, has to burn the flash to get out. Okay. We were questioning if the Fiora would be good enough, if Ariana had the hands for it, at least so far. 4.5 minutes into the game. He's certainly shown hands.
Okay, no. We got to take that with a caveat. Ariana has won the minigame challenge as well. There has been multiple times where those weak points, those vital points, has spawned literally on the left side of Jex early on. That gave him an HP advantage. Anytime I see that, I'm like, that is illegal. That is the game helping you win.
Hey man, I'll take luck over skill any day. You can train skill, you can't train luck, man.
That is 100% fair, as yet again, those vital points are causing the chunks, as Ariana has actually identified that, went for the early go-ahead with that Sheen in hand, just like, yo, I'm going to poke the ever-living crap out of you and try and get this lead. Of course, and that's speaking in the CS differential as well. With this wave crashing in here, Jexor is already behind a wave and will be down almost 2 here in the coming couple seconds.
Yeah, and that comes from the fact that Jexor was forced out of lane. Ariana got to choose his back timing, so he got to pick up that extra bit of CS before he went back. Now, early in the game, defensive stats are cheaper than offensive stats. They're more efficient early on in the game. So Jexor's picking double cloth armor, will actually help him stabilize this lane against the Sheen. The Sheen actually won't do as much early on, but the fact that Ariana might get ahead is going to be an issue.
Castle actually missing that knockup feels kind of bad, so Goku is able to get a turn, but not as much damage as you were kind of hoping for. But first gank coming up for Castle, and you maybe looking for a chance on the top side. Branching in, saw no vision, even watching, as that is going to be Jexor to get the knockback, and Ariana realizing that they gotta run. Doesn't burn the ghost though. You're actually going to be happy about that one, and Castle now walking up, doesn't get slowed by those pellets on the ground. All of a sudden, Jax is like, okay, I can't fight any further out. Oh, what is this in the mid lane? Where did this come from? Both of the supports joining in, and Goku's like, I hate it here. What is going on? Sendy and Inflame duking it out, but it's Sendy to eat most of the damage. Gloomgrove, though, stepping up to Nightstar, and Nightstar taking a huge beating, and there's more than enough mana. Auto attacks, though, it's on the flash for flash, and that's Nightstar to outplay! That is the Baron to take the finishes. That's it, another kill in the bot lane.
When was the last time you saw an 80 carry solo bolo fight and both of them opted into it? The flashes that came through, Nightstar so confident as well, stepping up, wanting that 1v1 and gets it. Now, unfortunately for Nightstar though, he wins out, but topside, Weaver win out the trade. Despite the fact that they got those amazing ganks off, they do back off, and it's all 3 grubs going the way of Weaver, which they desperately need when they've already lost 2 kills and the lanes are not favoring them.
Yeah, it's just... you take the small wins where you can. It almost feels like a reversal once again where Weaver are winning these. Well, I say winning, but taking their first steps towards the neutral objectives. And Nightstar has already powered through with almost no help. 3 turret plates, just needs a single tick for more. And now we're on a timer piece. We mentioned that Nightstar has been playing out of their mind so far, and this time really putting a seal of approval from us, from GVU themselves, I'm sure, on this quirky pickup.
Yeah, and they went for it, you know, blinded it, first B1 pick to come through. I liked the Ziggs idea where you outrange the Corki, because Corki does a lot of damage, but his range isn't very long, but it's not working out. Now, Gloomgrove has the Lost Chapter to come through. Let's see if he's able to kind of stabilize this lane. Again, Ziggs doesn't have to interact with the other laner once he gets mana. He can just spam and wave clear and unlock his support to go Roman.
Looks like the roams are coming out even more than we expected, as Sendy has kind of been opting to follow you around the map, and Flame has actually taken this time to continue and make sure Gloomgrove isn't allowed to stay close. Castle showing their face here on the bot side, as even though Weaver were able to take the grubs, GBU want to make sure that there's going to be no chance at a dragon take as well, and Flame stepping out. Good sidestep by you, making sure that doesn't get them tagged up here in the bottom lane.
Really unfortunate for Inflame. Both the hooks were kind of dodged out without blowing any summoners, but it's fine. GVU, the kills would be nice, but they're just icing on the cake. They just wanted Prio to go for this dragon anyways, and they managed to get that. Sendy's in the area, but I'd be surprised if they're actually able to make a play for it. Are they looking for it? Yu's actually walking in.
I mean, they are, but you have to remember that Nightstar has first rotation, and there's no way. I think maybe Sendy was like, if Nightstar didn't roam, then we'd be fine. But as soon as Nightstar leaves that lane, ain't no way you can contest.
Yeah, the Mega Inferno Bomb's about the only contribution Gloomgrove is going to be able to get into that, and a lot of it relies on Sendy setting up for him. So, yeah, I think discretion was the better half of Valor in that situation, and I appreciate that Weber didn't full send that one. It could have ended very poorly for them.
What might also end poorly for them is this possible tower dive. Castle setting up almost 30 seconds ahead of time. Nightstar and Inflame both having pretty good HP.
Got ult.
Inflame, though, without level 6 means that this dive is actually going to be a little weird, as that's 2 pieces left out, and that's the burst that you wanted. A quick in and a quick out, as you even drew the TP. Goku leaving the lane. I was gonna say it's only 1, but now you lose TP, and that's going to be a nice little push for Jinko.
Yeah, Jinko actually not opting for the push. He wants the reset timer instead. So he'll shove a wave in, and then he'll just kind of go for that reset. Get his Rod of Ages ticking. Okay, I can appreciate that one. And he gets to hold his teleport for another play later. So GVU, really strong play bot side. Yeah, and that's, by the way, Nightstar. He didn't even have like a Sheen. He didn't have a burst item. He just had the mallet in terms of combat stats, and it was absolutely enough to pop. That gank can be on repeat. Every time Sejuani's ults up, expect Castle to be looking for the option of going bot side.
And I think the worst feeling as well is the fact that Inflame actually dove on a different target. The fact of the matter is it was just Nightstar and Castle to try and bring that fight out. Ariana dodging all these tauntless strikes, though, on the top side, and willing to dance as hard as possible. Has a Sheen, has a mallet, and then some. Doesn't get the stun against the wall, though, so Jex is playing very nicely with these vitals because you have those tank stats that you mentioned before. Having that Bramble available means Ariana isn't healing as much as they normally would in these 1v1 trades.
So sometimes I just look at items, and in League it doesn't make sense. You have a Bramble vest and a chain armor. Like, how are you wearing that?
Have you ever worn too many layers in the snow? Like, that's kind of what it is, except the spikes are poking through poking through the vest, and you're like, this is probably a bad purchase item. What's also a bad purchase is Gloom's life here, as his Knights start to go on a killing spree, as his bot lane originally was going to be slow. It's now dominated by Nightstar and Inflame.
Yeah, and for Gloomgrove, your job is just to wave clear in a 1v2 situation. Why are you leaving turret? Should have
been so mean. Gloom wants to see more of the map, bro. He
No,
wants to go
man.
sightseeing.
Look, there are rules in Canada about leaving kids at home alone, you know? You have to be a certain age or a certain level, you know, before you can just kind of leave kids on their own like that. And if you're going to, you know, make sure you've got security, make sure you got a babysitter, all that sort of stuff. But because Gloomgrove tried to roam up, the problem is the roam was good if Gloomgrove just sits there and waves clear. Because you didn't. Sendy, sure, they get the grubs. All 6 grubs is nice, but you're not getting the turrets. You're not getting the push. And it's Nightstar getting first break on top of the 3 kills he already has, on top of being up in CS. And now it's not just Gloomgrove's problem anymore. It's all of Weaver's problem. It's going to be Goku's problem. It's going to be Jexer's problem.
It's going to be Yu's problem. It's going to be Sendy's problem. Everyone's just like, I hate it here. I hate
Oh, no, it's not going to be Yu's problem, man. You is the answer. They're just going to get you 2 Nightstar.
That's true, as we now get to see 3 Triforces being built here. Freak would be so proud. This is what we get when we see a Fiora, a Corki, as well as a Vi I don't see it being built anywhere else, so that's the only ones that we will be watching. But right now, it is going to be a collection here on the bot side as Goku roamed on in. But this is Castle possibly being caught out, tries to drift over into the Dragon Pit and flashes over the wall. But no, you don't need a flash because the rest of the team is here. And Weaver are actually on the back end as they get collapsed on. That's the Chaos Storm to go down, and GVU rout the rest of Weaver once again, 3v2, because Gloom was nowhere. Gloom literally just respawned. 0 kills to Weaver's side as auto for auto Jinko gets their second.
Hey guys, remember bot lane? Remember Nightstar? Yeah, he's your problem to deal with now. And you saw how much he was pumping out. Jinko basically gets a free fight as well. His use of the gravity field and Chaos Storm was spot on to slow people down. And now GVU 8-0 off that dragon play. This is insane. This is the biggest lead we've seen in the series so far. 5K up at 14. It's sub 14 minutes.
Weaver stepped into a slap fight contest through the first slap, and then the resounding slaps from GVU have been resounding, if I do say so myself. They have gone from a loss in game 1 to game 2 victory and a little bit of a mess to game 3 looking like the most dominant game thus far. We talked about the fact that they have barely dropped any games, barely dropped any series throughout the regular and playoffs, and is showing here why they deserve to be in the grand finals from the winner's side. No less. Dragon is currently available as you is looking for a piece, but yet again, Gloom went mid, but guess what? Inflame and Nightstar are there once again.
Man, I feel really bad for Gloomgrove right now. Like, one mistake has caused him to now become homeless from the bot lane. Just nowhere to go, right? Like, even in the mid lane that's supposed to be a safe lane, it's not working. And because you've got one player who's kind of not able to contribute right now, GVU basically to just enforce their will on the map. Anywhere they want to go, they win. You and Cindy are on the wrong side of town.
100% on the wrong side, even though it feels like an option. You cannot get to the round warp in time. Goku pieces the ever-living hell out of that one, and Jinko is now on a killing spree.
I love the way we were talking about, okay, you know, Rise, you can realm warp to back up the Vi. You know, when she goes in deep, you can back her out. And the first realm warp we get to see is Goku not going in to help you, but saying, peace out, I'm gone.
I will say, if that Glacial Prison hadn't come over the wall, I wonder if there was going to be an out. Maybe he had the Q lined up, but man, does that feel so bad. And the thing is, I can't even blame Goku. No. I would peace out too. I don't want anything to do with Inflame Castle and Jinko bearing down on me.
Yeah, it's just so rough to see. And to be fair, it is the right call from Goku. You don't want to be feeding extra kills over in a situation where you don't have to. You're hoping to skill up. Man, the Go Talk right now just feels like, like every single lane's winning. But look at the bot lane. That's where we're seeing the biggest discrepancy. What's that, a 3,000 gold difference right now between Nightstar and Gloomgrove? Heck, 7,800 is the richest guy on this map by a long shot. The closest on the side of Weaver right now is Goku, who's down to 2,500 gold from that amount. 2,500 gold isn't quite a full item, but it's almost there.
I mean, that's the difference between getting your Archangels now versus later. That's a huge number, especially for something like the Rise that we kind of touted as that up-and-coming mainstay meta pickup. You want to get those skilling items as soon as possible. Yeah. And you've only been able to farm. Even in that, you haven't been able to out-farm Jinko, who is currently also prepped on their second item, going for a little bit of the Leandries. Nightstar is going to inject even more gold into the GVU pocket, whereas Castle is going for the Herald to go ahead and try and break down a third tower on the top side if they so wish, as Ariana has that primed for a push as well.
Okay, to be fair to Goku, Goku has been very, very kind. He's fostering Gloomgrove in his home, so he had to move out for a little bit. So he's missing some CS here and there.
You're not wrong. But, I mean, when... Okay, no. I get that. I understand, but man, does that feel kind of bad, and I get it. But right now on the bot side, we're seeing Ariana, after they prep the tower, have gone to duking it out in the long lane and actually bringing out the grand challenge. Throws down a lot of that damage, and with the stun as well, brings them down to low. Jinko, though, getting run out by Goku. Goku cannot see the vision, and because of that, you're run down by Castle as Ariana, no ghost left. And Jex is out, but our eyes drawn to top and bot at the exact same time, and GVU win both.
Yeah, 10-0 right now. GVU, we're looking at almost a 10K goal lead. It's 8 right now, but with this turret going down, it's going to be very, very close to 10K. And in the past, it's like, okay, 10k before Baron was absolutely insane. Baron used to spawn at 20 minutes. We're 17.5 minutes, and we're staring down the barrel of a 10k gold lead. Every single lane is winning for GVU. Weaver, I don't think you can get back in this game. Like, I genuinely, even if GVU mess up a fight, even if they mess up 2 fights, I don't think it's enough for Weaver to get back in.
No, this has just been GVU on a warpath right now. They say they are here to win, and they're snuffing out Weaver's chances here. Weaver have clawed their way up, but this is where the clawing stops at some point. It can't be clawing. You gotta be throwing haymakers as well. And unfortunately, it's just not coming through. So right now, it's a slow burn. Nightstar slowly crawling up this mid lane, but guess who's open? Guess who's available? Nice satchel away as Gloom saw that coming as well. A little bit of PTSD after the 3 deaths that they've given so far.
I don't know.
Getting all right, there's a dash over. I was wondering if they were going to fight, and they do, and immediately realize their mistake, but Castle is here to play in a 2v2 position, though. You and Goku are able to bring down the Fencer of Ages, but here comes GVU ready to avenge their top laner. The burn works wonders for Jinkall. And Castle and Inflamed are quite literally holding off to Jex, try their best, but in comes the backside. That's going to be a satchel, though, and Gloom drops Nightstar, who went a little bit too far for their own right, but Jinkall is now unstoppable as the torch has been passed from bot to mid. Gloom running for their life. Jinkall with another laser isn't going to be able to land it. GVU fight their way to a 2-3.
Okay, and Gloomgrove able to survive that. It's starting to pump out the damage. Just saw how quickly they could burst Nightstar down.
Oh, drive it. Oh, drive it. Oh, drive it, baby. That is Jinkall. One, and the kill slams into Gloom. Jinkall snipes it out, and that's the finish on the delayed ace as you is forced to watch their bot lane die. Round number 3, though, as a TP comes in, and Goku wants to expand, has the 2-item power spike now, and might be able to burn through some kills. Of course, in that same time frame, Ariana TP'd into mid, so we gotta watch that as well. Goku allowing you to pick up that kill as Weaver are starting to turn in the Constellation Prize. But guess what? Jinkall says no thank you. You still didn't take me out, as they are 8-0-2 in the course of a single top lane fight. Jinkall has gone from 2 to, I swear, 9.
Well, Orbital, we've joined the glorious revolution, I guess. Victor, is there an Arcane Season 3? I feel like Jinkall deserves a Season 3 after this.
I don't even think we could show a replay. That's too long. That way.
It's not done!
So freaking long. It's not, because Ariana TP'd in, took a tower mid, and was ready to try and help out Jinkall. Now Jinkall, without a flash, without an ult, realizes they're in a bad spot. No real healing, as they don't have a Saris either. But they're gonna bring the extra shielding. They're gonna try and run away. No way. No way you get to survive this. Another Q comes out. You're gonna burn through Jex. Jex finally gets the last auto, takes them down, and yet, in all that, it still feels like WSU lose because bot lane falls as well. Jinkall left because they're pissed that they lost a death or something. I'm sure they'll come back at one point, but it's no worries. Inflamed, though, realizing Goku is actually starting to output a lot of damage here. Double second's gonna be there. What is this? Where did you come from? You was chasing into Nightstar and immediately loses their life, as Nightstar is now trying to come back and claim their rightful spot of the #1 kills, but it's a long road ahead of them as they're only 5 to the 9.
Yeah, and again, Nightstar somehow able to survive all of that. These carries are nutty right now. Hey, look at Jinkall and Nightstar's health bar. It's kind of small, and yet they're somehow surviving while pumping out all that damage. Now, for Weaver, though, it looked really, really messy, but let's really take stock of what they've lost. They were going to lose these turrets anyways. They're down to just their base turrets. The fact they got those kills are massive. They cleared the board of all the bounties on GVU. Though, if you look at the gold, it might not be apparent, because we're still looking at a 10k gold difference.
It could have been 12.
Sure.
Or no, it actually could be more. I think because Jinkall was sitting at, what, like a 700 at the end of it? So that would have been almost a 3k difference, I think, in just bounties alone. That was easy. No, you don't get to do 2 at the same time.
Why not?
This is illegal. This is rude. This is not how League is played. GVU, you don't get to do something like this.
I can't hear you over the 11,500 gold that Nightstar has. Is Nightstar gonna die to Octagon? That'd actually be really funny.
No. He's got a little extra help, but they are gonna be able to do this. Jax is just now realizing that they're doing this. They double up on the largest HP neutral camp, plus a dragon. Take both, get 2 towers, and say screw it. We're still good.
But on the other hand, Weaver are able to double up as well on turrets, both with objective bounties. So they're going to get a nice infusion of gold as well. Shrink that 10k gold lead to closer to just 7,000. I say just 7,000, 22.5 minutes. That's a lot of gold difference up against Atakan, up against a Baron that will be spawning in just 3+ minutes, 3.5 minutes, or 2.5 minutes there. Yeah, it's... Weaver is trying. They're not giving up, and I really do appreciate that. For me, if I was at this point, I'd be thinking, okay, what do we do in game 4? But Weaver are still saying, okay, no, we still want to play in game 3. We're still here right now. Whether or not we have a chance to come back is irrelevant. We make the plays we have in front of us, and it's kind of been working out. They shrank the gold gap. That's a positive for them.
It's positive, but a small one. They need about 2 or 3 more positives to really come out net even in this game up. And Flame and Castle, though, really are prepping for this Baron, as you rightly called. I mean, they can quite literally do anything. When you take Otacon and a Dragon, you know Baron is no challenge whatsoever. The only question is, are they actually going to run into some sort of aggression? Are they going to run in to Weaver thinking that they're strong enough to fight for this objective as well? Right now, a little bit of a collapse, but it's 4 GPUs stacked on top of each other.
Okay.
That's the going down there, and they easily found you. You is gone. They even get the depth charge onto Goku. This is going to be a turnaround though. It's GBU get knocked up, but they do not care because Ariana is unleashed. Ariana just runs straight through the back line, making sure Jex is completely zoned away, and Nightstar is unleashed into the back line. Jex chomping through Castle's HP, and then looks at the rest of the map and goes, oh crap, what's going on here? Jex is still alive, able to dance it out, and it looks like the Eagle of GBU might have flown a little bit too close as they unleashed everything and yet are only going to get 3 kills.
I was just waiting for the third one to come through. It's like,
yeah,
it's taking an awfully long time to Jexor. And part of that is the fact that Goku and Gloomgrove have started hitting their breakpoints, right? Gloomgrove specifically has the Andries and the Blackfire Torch. There's a lot of burn to come through. He lands a beautiful ultimate on multiple members. And trying to chase the Ziggs down is a little bit scary. If you can't gap close, he just keeps poking. Ariana is dead, right? You don't outrun Arise. Goku as well, right? With the Saracen Brace and with the Rod of Ages, actually tanked up quite a bit of damage in that fight as well. And Orgy, you're just taking damage throughout all of that. We get to see Aretha and how that started. So we get the drift that you wanted to see from Castle, but right here's the issue. Bomb lands on multiple targets. It burns both squishies and tanks. And the way the fight actually splits up, Jexor buys so much time on the back end of things. Ariana gets the damage, but again, look how much damage Goku is soaking up. He's not dying. He's buying space. He's buying time. And Gloomgrove gets a free hit. And right there, that Rune Prison was critical. Because the moment you fail to chase down, then you're in trouble. And you see Gloomgrove on slivers of health, it's good enough.
Oh. Well, this is also a little bit of a stretch, though. Weaver might have barely gotten away from the last fight, but they're ready to try and turn it around. As that's going to be a draw. You deny the Realm Warp, and all of a sudden it's GBU to try and turn it around. However, Inflame goes very, very low. Big burst to come out here as you land into the Chaos plus the missiles, and that's too much artillery to handle. This is GBU Vikings storming the battlefield with a Quadra for Nightstar, as that's an ace for GBU Vikings.
And Nightstar wins the kill competition against Jinko in that fight. Jinko immediately getting popped, giving his life for the cause. Baron fully resets though. So after GBU get this, they won't be able to push immediately. They will have to reset. I mean, Ariana can push. He's mid lane right now with the wave. Just waiting for the Baron buff. There we go. That should be inhibitor turret. Maybe, I don't think Ariana can actually get the inhibitor. It's a bit iffy with Sendy and you coming up.
I bet you're going to try. Ariana 100% is going to try for this one. Sendy is... Okay, never mind. You're not. Oh, that's boring. Double cannon minion, though. I think you definitely could have. You might have sacrificed your life, but with Dragon coming up so close, I actually agree with this call here. You say, nope, we don't want to. We want to make sure we get this Mountain Soul to play for. And I agree. Yes, Jinko got popped immediately. It doesn't matter. You had, I think, the Chaos Storm available, and that's all you needed. By the end, it had tagged 4. It was massive. It was covering Nightstar as like this grand umbrella from the possible rain from Weaver.
Yeah, and it caused Weaver to start running for the hills, and they didn't have time to focus down Nightstar because they were busy trying to get out of the toxic rain. Oh, okay, Chaos Storm, it's not really the rain, is it? It's just straight up lightning. There's no rain in there, is there?
No, not really. And if there were, it'd be way more damage. The burn actually comes from the Leandries that you picked up. You made the lightning have a little bit of a toxicity in there, but at the current moment, the toxicity is not necessary. Dragon is spawning in 5, and yet GBU are saying we want to make sure these inhibitors go down. We don't need the dragon, but we do need an inhibitor too. Right now, a little bit of fight on the edge as Sendy is going to try and burn off in, but what a prediction! You catch Sendy as they try and jump back, and that allows Ariana to dance their way on top yet again. Chaos reigns on the map, as that's a double for Night Stars. They are now 14-1-3. GVU annihilate 3 more.
League of Legends, Night Star is legendary. League of Night Star.
Oh, make it even more so. Pad on a 15th, one of the highest kill counts available as GVU, the perennial powerhouses here, shown themselves off. They will take their rightful place on top with an ace on the one poor player that has suffered what feels like the most in this game. GVU are now propped and ready for a grand finals championship, as they are just 1 away from taking this series.
GVU has dominated the playoffs so far, and you can see exactly why right now. They're playing around with their food, flashing over the Nexus, stolen away. Overall, the Grandview Vikings right now are absolutely, utterly dominant. And after this game, if I'm Weber, I don't even know what to take away from this game necessarily, right? Like, the draft wasn't particularly bad for Weber. They had things they could do. It wasn't like they just got hard countered or hard out drafted. And then you look at the gameplay as well, especially towards the end. Despite being down almost 10,000 gold, Weber was still being able to answer back kills. In fact, they actually were getting more and more even as the game went on. So it doesn't feel like they got out hands or out mechanicked necessarily in team fights. But the early game, just a couple of mistakes, or 2 mistakes from Gloomgrove, and it just felt the game was completely gone and busted from there. So on one hand, I feel like Weber needs to forget this game happened and mental reset. But on the other hand, you can't forget the mistakes you made, because if you do them again, that's it. That's the end. And again, the stakes for this is not just championship. It's not just bragging rights. It's also a spot at Nationals guaranteed in San Antonio, Texas.
And that's the dangerous here, because the evolution of Nightstar has also continued. We talked about them throughout the course of this series, and this one, it feels like the evolution has bloomed, going from a late game carry only to literally whole game carry. 15 at the end of the day with Inflame, with those hooks. It was phenomenal to watch them. And now, one more step on the ladder. Quite literally, they are at the top, just one more step. And they will claim their ticket. Weber, though, they will fight tooth and nail. As you said, 10K down, 20K down, it doesn't matter. They are here in the finals for a reason, and they're ready to prove it. We are going to a game number 4 to see if we close out the series here, or if Weber will push us to a game 5. Don't go anywhere. The NECC League of Legends matchup will continue in just a bit.
What do you make of this up here? Just showed up in the yard a couple days
Has a
ago.
dog been digging in there?
I don't think so, dude. That goes way down in there. Seriously, did you just lose your meat stick?
Yeah.
Oh, no. There's something in there, dude. Just leave it.
Are you kidding me?
We'll just head to the house. Just leave it.
The hell with that.
Oh, yeah, there's something in there. Ah!
Want one?
Thank you.
It was worth it.
For the first time in what feels like a while, we get a game 4 in a Fearless. I am so excited my voice decided to give out on me considering how crazy these games have been. Game 1, Weber taking it in a wild team fight antics. Game number 2, Weber actually getting taken by team fights, by some of this excellent team fighting that came around. And then third was all Nightstar. You know, we talked about the supports really having some emphasis, and Nightstar benefited in Game 3. Game 4 now, though, we get some mix-ups here in how exactly champions are taken away.
Yeah, no, bro, ball. Your voice might be cracking. You know what? Ain't cracking. Nightstar isn't cracking the ball lane, and Weber as a whole didn't crack either. Yes, they struggled immensely in Game 3 right from the get-go. Unfortunately for them, because of a couple of mistakes, Gloomgrove just couldn't play the game after that against Nightstar, who was just abusing the early lead he got. But they came back in the mid to late game. Was it enough to come back into the game itself? No, but it was showing signs of life. And going into Game 4, I look at Weber, you know, they lost to Tactics twice, they won the third time. Now they've lost to Grandview twice in this series. Maybe it's time for them to mount the comeback. Fingers crossed.
Hey, I would agree with that one. I mean, you and Gloomgrove, especially being kind of newer additions to the team. I mean, you has had some star moments. Game number 1, really taking things with that Wukong. Game number 2 still had a good scoreline at the time, was still able to find a couple kills, just wasn't able to translate into a lot of those finishing blows in on that Nocturne. And the Game 3, I mean, there's not much you can do when it comes down to an unfortunate, you know, bot lane kind of domination there. So I am looking at you to kind of step up, and I'm looking at Gloomgrove. You know, you've realized that, hey, the Ziggs obviously didn't work. This style of playing a little bit comfort may or may not be hampered, but you still have some pocket picks that you can make kind of bring out to allow Sendy to roam out.
Yeah, and for Gloomgrove, even though he did struggle, he actually ended up doing the most damage on his team at 25,394, just barely ahead of Goku at 23,000 and change. But yeah, I mean, you can see that Gloomgrove just needs the right circumstances, and last game was not it. As for you, he unfortunately ended last game 1-8-2, but that just reminds me of the quote that was kind of making its rounds in social media, I think earlier this week or last week, from The Shy, saying that he'd rather go 0-10 than 0-4, because at least it shows that, you know, he was trying. He never gave up. That's why he's 0-10. And I feel like that's what happened with you last game too. His Vi was actively looking for plays. It didn't find them, but he was trying. And that's why he ended up dying as many times as he did. And to me, that's signs of life. That's what you need in a longer series. But the score right now is 2-1 in favor of Grandview University. This is the last game Weaver can afford to make mistakes in. Or, pardon me, last game was the last game they could afford to make mistakes.
Yeah, I was about to say.
They have no more space. They've got to clutch up now, or it's gone.
Well, here's the thing. Is it mistakes like GVU's mistakes in Game 2? Because obviously GVU were like, that's not mistakes. We're just limit testing. That's a whole difference in there. But I would agree. Right now, they need to shore everything up. They need to be able to step up to the task. And I think that also comes down towards that top side. This top side has had maybe not the most straightaway impact, but we've seen that kind of underlying tone that has been Ariana and Jex, where one might get a lead and it slowly translates into even stronger bounds for the team. You know, we saw for GVU in game number 3, yeah, Nightstar was winning, but Ariana was able to force Jex all the way back. This Cansante wasn't looking as primed to tank up as we normally would.
Sure, and considering top lane is an island, and we keep seeing them, you know, get very isolated in the 1v1 matchup with not a lot of jungle help. It kind of surprises me that Weber keeps opting to blind Jexor's picks. Even last game, they were on red side. They blinded the Cassante. Sure, it's R3. Sure, you can ban away some of the counters, but you can't ban away all of them. And as we saw, the Fiora ended up running buck wild over the entire enemy team. They saved counter pick for Goku with a Rise pick into a Victor, which doesn't even feel like a counter pick to me. We should note as well that the NECC Fearless rules is not hardcore Fearless or full Fearless where they're bans every single game. In Game 4, you only get 3 bans a team. In Game 5, there are no bans whatsoever. So, going into Game 3 now, if you're still going to blind for Jexor on the red side, you don't get to ban away any counter picks. I really do hope and wish that Weber would hold counter pick for Jexor, give him a favorable matchup so that you've got a lane, a winning lane, that not only you can play through, but you specifically can play through. Because as a jungler, he needs a lane to help out.
And I think that might come down to it. I'm also very interested to see what unique picks come out here. We talked about the fact that Castle has gotten both the Viego and the Lee Sin. Even brought out the Sejuani that we have seen Castle actually drop back to, which I personally love. I think Sejuani is an amazing champion, especially for me, because I can't duel worth anything. So I love the Sejuani. Love being able to just kind of like throw out an ult, and that's my team fight, proactivity in there. But with you, we've seen the Bel'Veth banned out multiple times, and now with only 3 bans, I am kind of curious, because one way or another, you got to sit there and go, well, if we stuff it here in Game 4, and we don't allow the Bel'Veth and we win, GVU are like, cool. In Game 5, it might just be open, and you have to deal with you possibly having the chance to break out their own signature pick here into this game. So as we take a look, we are already set GVU once again on the blue side with Weaver on red.
Yeah, and the bans, again, you only get first phase bans. I don't feel like there's really any big change up that you kind of need to do. Like maybe GVU want to switch out the Xin Zhao for something else. Xin Zhao for you, it's a strong early game champion. I don't know, frankly, after watching the Vi game, if it's worth the ban, because I think Yu does best when he's on carries that he can carry on. Ganking people is all great and well, and I think against a lot of other teams, it's fine. But against GVU specifically, right now, looking like the kings of NECC Division 1, you need to be able to carry on your own.
Yes, you need to be able to play multiple functionalities as well, and we mentioned the fact that Inflame and Sendy might be reaching the bottom of the barrel now soon with the number of support champions. You can grab a lot of those major engaged champions are off the table. We might start seeing that fluctuation. Yeah, I mean, we might be seeing that shift into, the hook champions, the Thresh, and the Blitzcrank are going to be on the table. These types of champions that we don't always see, but the Gwen still banned away. These are all still the same 4 that we've seen throughout the entirety of the series, but this Band 5 and 6 is where we might or might not see that shift. GVU, they banned the Seraphine. They had the right idea because we talked about it. Gloom Grove has a Seraphine. They don't want to see it in the bot lane.
Yeah, and we actually, in the green room, we're talking about the Seraphine pick potentially, because if you want something with safe wave clear in the bot lane that you can leave alone, the Ziggs didn't quite cut it. Seraphine is your go-to pick for that. It's got the heals, it's got the shields. You can survive under turret. Diving it gets really complicated after 6. Weaver also changing things up. They're letting the Kindred through. And with Alistar on the board, if GVU first pick the Kindred, you can go with the Alistar and knock her out. They've gone the Caitlyn ban instead against Nightstar. They don't want another early performance that just takes over the game right from the get-go.
And Nightstar getting a comfortable champion as well. Has played Tristana just as many times as they played Jinx in the past. But this might be the calling card, and I was wondering about this. If you see a late game Tristana knowing about the range, you bring the early game pain, which is very, very different from Gloomgrove and Sendy. They have not, I think, had a strong dominance performance in this bottom lane, and they're going to try and do it here. We are dipping into those enchanters, which is going to enable a lot heavier hitting ADCs here in this early game.
And I think it just completely changes up the style of Weaver, right? Up to now, we've seen Sendy roaming out and getting a lot of impact outside of his lane, but with Milio, you're not a roaming support. You got to sit with your AD carry. And Flame's just like, okay, bet. Alistar's up, don't care. You went Enchanter, I'll go Enchanter. I don't hate it. I think Enchanters are really, really strong right now. With the Tristana as well, I know we're really talking about the scaling range she gets, but her early game is really strong. Her level 2 and level 3, she can actually outmatch a Lucian as well. She can get in range. So, and with the Lulu early strength as well, I actually think that they might be the winning duo. So that makes the bot lane super spicy now.
Well, what's also spicy is the amount of leverage that possibly this mid lane is going to have. Banned out in game number 3, I believe. That Talia is now on the board. The Jace is also enabled, but it was a blind pick. Now, keep in mind, both Ariana and Jinkle have this in their pockets, so it could be a flex, depending on where they want to shift it and depending on what they see here in pick number 4. Now, granted, it's a little bit of a lean. I believe Ariana has that one played more under their belt than anything else, but it's yet to be tested. Remember, though, here in the NECC, Game 4, draft bans number 2, second round, are no more. We are waiting for pick number 4 to come out of Weaver.
Yeah, and with the Jace, too, we've been seeing it more in the top lane just because it has better matchups a lot of times. The fact that you're ranged into melee with the option to switch into melee and actually get a second rotation of spells really does benefit the long lane that Jace tends to excel at. Now, against Talia, it does get a little bit kind of weird because your range is good, but Talia can really punish you, and trying to use To the Skies against the worked earth that she can put down all the mines definitely messes you up. So I do think that for GVU, they would prefer the Jace top, depending on what the matchup is from Weaver, and Weaver can hold that. They can go for the jungle as their 4th pick, which they probably should since it's kind of open. Are we seriously not counter-picking top?
Oh my gosh. So my only thought is the assumption that the Jace is automatically going top. That is my only hope here, is that you are saying for Weaver, bring the Scion. Granted, it's still not a counter pick. This is a tank buildup. We have a front line now, and it is going to be the Jace top. So at least you guessed correctly if you bring that Scion up there, but it's still not that like big show that we want to see Jex have. Now, of course, the Skarner and the Nico brings a lot of teamfight prowess for a GVU, a lot of burst ability when it comes to the mid game.
Yeah, and there's the Xin Zhao that did get banned out last game that we're talking about for you. It's not going to be a big carry situation for him. No, he's going to be enabling his team, and I'm looking at this team as well. Orbital, when you've got a Scion, a lot of times you want a nice big hyper carry behind him because you got a very, very beefy front line which scales up to infinity. I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing a huge hyper carry necessarily, right? You've got Lucian, he's good, and you know, nowadays he doesn't fall off the cliff either. He actually does pretty well in the mid game as well. Talia can skill up, but it's not a lot of sustained damage. And when I look at the Lulu on the other hand, the Skarner, a potentially tanky Jace, though I'd like to see a bit more Bruiser. A Blade of the Ruined King wouldn't go amiss for the 1v1 situation for a Jace top. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, like, I don't know if this is going to be enough for you guys to really kind of run through this, to deal with this. Tristana late game, 5-6 items, will be able to shred through that Scion as well. So some very interesting choices by Weaver, and I do feel a lot of it relies on snowballing the carries. We've got to see Gloomgrove actually not just do well in lane, but actually get ahead, and same thing with Goku this game.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here going, man, I really hope it happens. I also want to see Sendy enabled to join in on the rest of the phrase. We just talked about trying to expand out further. The best way to do so is to bring the supports out. On the flip side, GVU, though, also finding an enabling pattern. Castle has now swapped from that carry style, from the Lee Sin, from that earlier piece, now into a Skarner, into the Sejuani. These are now tanks. These are now front lines that are going to have that CC value to try and bring down some extra fun with that Nico in the mid lane, with the Jace. RMC, it sounds like we're getting some info here. What have you got for us?
Remember how we said Sendy's role swap? Do you remember what role he used to play last season or last one? He was the AD carry of the team. And we just got word, Sendy's playing AD carry in a clutch critical game 4 with their backs up against the wall. The captain is going back to his former role, his main role as AD carry. And Gloomgrove, he's going to be put on Milio. He's going to be put on support to try and back him up. This, you know what, overall, if your back's up against the wall, things aren't working. You got to make a change. And this change, it doesn't sound half bad to me.
I'm so mad that you get to break the news all the time. You're always the one that gets all this information fed into your ear. I have to sit here and be so just excited, waiting in my seat. I'm excited, but that does shake things up a lot of the time. We talked about the fact that we have been waiting for the likes of Nightstar to be kind of challenged in that bot side to see Weaver have that chance. And if this is the shift that you need, that opens up way more branches of opportunity. We are quite literally talking about, where does this start happen for Weaver? Where do we get to see that fire from game number 1? Where do we get to see that clawing to overcome your past complications, your knockouts from before? The way to do it, bring the captain, give him the hat, give him the guns, give him the reins. It's time for Sendy ADC.
Well, he's been given the guns. He's on Lucian, 2 guns. He's been given the range with Milio and the ability to extend the range as well. So, yeah, I mean, they've given Weaver everything you asked for, Orbital. Will it be enough? My big question is, I don't know how long ago it's been since Sendy's played AD carry in comp, right? So, it might be his former role. We'll have to see how it goes in the laning phase. And again, Tristana's early damage is really, really high. This entire game could just incredibly quickly snowball or coin flip within the first couple of minutes in the bot lane.
I love that Castle is like, I'll do that right away in the jungle. Throws out a rock into Goku's face. And with this kind of term to pass, I'm also curious as well, because Castle has been very, very active in trying to track down you, and same in vice versa. You and Goku have been on a heavy, I want to say, decent warding pattern and trying to keep track of Castle. So that's what we're seeing here. But Jexor, of course, getting into the mix here, and Ariana in this matchup is probably thrilled about how much damage they might be able to break down. Of course, you miss, I think, like 2 autos in there. I think that was like 2 canceled autos in there, so it's like, dang. But on the bot side, screw heavy HP tanks. We're just going to go right up. Heal even came out right now. Barrier from Sendy. We got Spice before the minions hit each other.
in multiple, in both side lanes right now. They're more than happy to trade. But you're kind of seeing the damage that Tristana can bring to the table. And the thing with Lucian is we think of him as a lane bully, but his level 1's actually not that strong. So Sendy has to be very careful about these trades he's opting for.
Oh my gosh, Nightstar sacrificed 4 CS to drop Sending down to about 200 HP. This is a wild twist from the earlier states RMC. I am very, very scared of what's going down here. Ariana actually stepping up into melee range for Jexor and just trying to beef them out of this lane as this massive wave of about 10 minions is going to crash, giving time for Ariana to try and shove in as well. Nightstar getting a satchel on, and Sunny and Gloomgrove saying, we're going to try and tag that damage, make sure Nightstar takes a tower shot. Everyone is on low HP already.
Yeah, and we talked about how Nightstar dropped, what, 4 CS on that push. Well, guess what? Sendy can't pick it up. Sendy's just being chunked the entire time, and he's always got to watch the risk of a dive. With Tristana, her rocket jumps reset on takedowns. So she can jump in, get the kill, jump right back out. You've got to make sure you don't go down. They're being careful because there's still heal on Gloomgrove, but any more damage into Sendy or Gloomgrove, and you can, level 3, I think Nightstar looks for the dive.
Well, that's the crazy thing because they're utilizing this. GV are actually utilizing the fact that Nightstar and Inflame have a massive HP lead to bring Castle into the bottom lane jungle. And they're going to rotate Inflame as well. So all of a sudden, we're seeing you now feel those disadvantages of having a bot lane that's shoved out within the first 3.5 minutes.
And this was the risk we were talking about, right? You, unfortunately, on Xin Zhao, you need to gank you need to help your lanes, but your lanes also need to help you. This is not something like a Zyra where you can look for the duels early. It's not something like a Viego. And because of that, because your bot lane's losing out so hard, you're starting to lose control of your jungle and might lose your blue buff here. If you walk up incorrectly, if you get baited into this, Xin Zhao's not that tanky early on.
No, you're not, but guess who else is not that tanky? It's Ariana, as both Jex and Ariana are duking out to about 100 HP each. By the way, we have no pots except for the mid laners by about 4 minutes. I have not seen that in ages, except my solo queue down in the gold elo. That is crazy to watch for. Nightstar getting punted away here thanks to a Q, and Sendy and Gloom are just trying to stay alive. RMC. Both teams already feeling the weight of this series, and Weber and GVU are scrapping to the best of them.
I mean, what else did you expect when we heard that Sendy was role swapping with Gloomgrove, that the captain was going back to his original role? Obviously, we knew that he was going to be hard committing to it. Unfortunately for him, despite the role swap, despite the changes that we're seeing in this bot lane, Nightstar and Enflame, that much didn't change. They are still winning out the trades. They got this year's advantage. They're going to shove an extra wave in. They got 2 plates to boot Orbital, and they've got better base timings. With the call coming in, double daggers. Despite the call, I expect CGVU continue to get push advantage bot side.
You say that like a Tristana isn't going to get push advantage either way. It's just like, it will happen whether you like it or not, and that's why Nightstar has opted for that Cole as well. We've seen Cole pretty much built every single game, whether it's on top lane, whether it's on bot lane, or anywhere of the sort. Earlier, it was on Gloomgrove, I think, as they were trying to use it on Sivir at one point to try and kind of like get a little extra gold in there. But it's been a shift, so we'll see how quickly those 100 stacks are drained. Ariana back to duking it out with Jackson. Keep in mind, Ariana at one point had, I think it was a 25 to 30 CS lead in one game, so hoping to do the same with the Jace here.
Yeah, and you're already seeing a pretty significant CS lead build up. Jex is trading very well on the Scion though, so at least he's keeping Ariana a bit honest in terms of how much pressure he can get down. I'm really waiting for Castle to kind of get into things, and I say Castle specifically and not you because you got set behind. So it's a little bit hard. He did actually end up losing the blue buff to Castle, so effectively got 3 buffs to start. Castle's got a level lead, and the Skarner ganks early can be huge. Oh, the knockback from Gloomgrove.
We talked about Sendy coming back in the ADC role, but Gloom coming back into the support role. Showing off why this Milio is so prized. And now we get to see the HP differences. I know, like, that is crazy. Good boot gives you a chance on Dragon, and of all dragons, the one that Weaver would love the most, lane priority in terms of HP value. However, it is reset, I think, unfortunately, so you might have to take a little bit longer to finish off that Ocean Drake.
Okay, and given how close some of these fights are, this regeneration might make all the difference. We do see Jinko looking at it. He sent a clone in the area just to get vision, but because of the poor trade that happened in the bot lane, because of, well, I say poor trade for GVU, but a great trade for Weber, because of the knockback, Nightstar was too low on health to actually go in, and if he does, he might die, give first blood, and then completely change the dynamic of the bot lane. So they have to sacrifice the dragon for now to continue maintaining leads elsewhere.
It's scary to think the pace has picked up immensely, and yet we're still sitting at 0 kills everywhere on the map. It has been a lot of just macro trying to, you know, out mind game the opponent. Where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? Where's you going to go? That's the question. 25 stacks currently still on their jungle. Egg, Inflame, and Jinkle, though, stepping up for the grubs here. Grubs have not been taken yet, so Castle might be met with a little bit of resistance once you enter out onto the rest of the map. But Castle says no. I just want to keep putting you down in the hole in major camps. Are going to draw the red buff away.
He's got a level lead right now, right? He's got Impale. You doesn't have Crescent Guard yet. So you want to abuse this as much as possible, get as many advantages as you can. I don't know if you is going to hit level 6 off of the Krogs here.
Oh, do it. I don't think it matters. You're in a 2v1. You have no...
Oh
my gosh. Castle and Inflame, they take the respectful route out, and I think that's because Jexor called out for the ult and would be in the vicinity to maybe help out. So maybe they say they just don't want to take that chance, instead go for the much safer grub stake.
And that's fine. I mean, that's still an advantage that GVU will be able to pick up, not to mention because it was Inflame and Castle. I actually don't know if they have enough damage to kill you. I think at best you kind of force them out, and Nightstar is suffering for it. We talked about the fact with Enchanters, the supports don't want to roam out as much. Well, Inflame didn't get the memo, and that's put Nightstar in a tough spot.
You do get the satchel down early. Sendy hasn't actually attacked yet, so Gloomgrove and Sendy actually miss out on that bot side kind of tower dive. So HP advantage, and you mentioned Nightstar kind of falling behind. Well, you survived that, and you actually are only about 3 CS behind, so not as far behind as we originally assumed.
They were up 5 CS, so that's what total net 8, negative 8 when things come through. So yes, Nightstar does live, and with a healthy amount of health as well, so that he's not at risk of being dove again. Good for Inflame, but they didn't. Is it worth it for the grubs? I guess for now. We'll see if that pans out. There's a lot of pushing power on GVU. Jace is a great split pusher. Tristana was already an amazing turret taker already. Ariana, walk basers into that.
Well, okay. Walking face first is knowing that there's a sign in there. You can predict 9 times out of 10 a sign is going to sit in that bush, but Ariana was able to turn a little bit, had dropped a ward and was like, yeah, I can't do that. But as you said, still took a little bit of that damage, and Jexor is getting a lot more comfortable stepping up for these trades, has been able to keep up in stacking that HP value, and went for the bombing center early as well. So whether you like it or not, Jexor is starting to get to be an HP tank, and Ariana has to be a little bit safer about how often you're willing to die melee range in these battles. On the bot side, though, Inflame and Nightstar are ready to get messy, as Sendy is lost in the sauce. No idea where they're at. Great polymorph, but Sendy being able to back away with that dash plus berry and Flame. He's going to eat a lot, but in comes the call in. This time, Goku ready to help out here as Weber turn it around, and that's Aaliyah misses out on some extra punches, so Nightstar and Inflame are more than happy to get away safely.
Gonna be honest, I'm actually quite shocked that Goku missed the seismic shove there. He's been so good on Talia throughout most of this season in NECC that's a bit shocking. Jexor has the blow flash to get out of dodge, but he has his ultimate, so he can always recall and use the ult to get right back into line.
Right now, bot side is being revisited in more ways than one. Only a pitch on one, but guess what? The TP coming in from Goku, as that's just a slaughter in first blood for Sendy. The lane swap master as Nightstar is trying to run, but guess what? Goku coming in here saying, I'm not going to miss this time. Slam the kill number 2. And it is going to be Weber to start things off with 2 kills.
That's what you want to see from Goku. That's what you expect to see from Goku, to be able to find that kill there. And we talked about how this bot lane could decide everything. It certainly did last game. Sendy is starting to win out significantly, not just a little bit either. He's catching up in experience, in levels, or might even be a hit at this point after that kill. And with how aggressive Nightstar wants to play with this Tristana, to see him get shut down like that would necessitate a change in GVU's plans. You can no longer really look to get that bot lane with any sort of confidence. And I'm not sure that Jinkle can kind of roam down there. This all happens because they didn't know you was in the area as well. Even without Goku TPing down, it was already done and dusted pretty much. They already got the 1 kill. Goku is just icing on the cake for that 2nd kill. And most critically, that kill, first blood, went to Sendy. That's more gold in pocket for an ADK who didn't start with Cull, who started with combat stats and will snowball those combat stats.
Not only that, Goku, considering in, I think it was game number 2, they played the Aurora, was constantly rotating for the rest of the team, yet got nothing, got no assists, got no kills earlier. This time, you roam twice to the bottom lane, you pick up a kill, and you're still within range of CS. Right now, Jingle hasn't been able to kind of bridge any of that, and we get to see Ariana get a taste of this problematic triple up. But of course, you draw a TP out, so GBU save their top laner, and Castle ready with another impale, and the cleanse came out way too early. That is going to allow the annihilation as Ariana grabs 2 back.
I don't think it would come out any sooner or later, right? Like, if you do it any later, you're kind of dead to rights already. You do it any sooner, you're stuck under impale, and cleanse doesn't get you out of that situation. So, really unfortunate for Weaver on that dive. Really good read from GVU with the collapse. And I suspect part of that's just the timing of it, right? We know that GVU's been spot on with objective control. Castle has dominated that particular stat within this entire series. So, when you know grubs are up, it's kind of an easy guess that Castle is probably going to be in the area. And with Inflame's willingness to roam as well, if you're not seeing him with Nightstar, assume he's with Castle.
Right now, Goku reading that the grubs are being taken, saying, hey, we got to prep for this dragon. We got to try and get this dragon under our control. See you already sprinting down there, but stopping Jinkal's recall means that the TP and the back to lane is going to take even longer. So we'll go ahead and be 6 grubs over to GBU's side, but Dragon over to Weaver as Sendy and Gloomgrove are once again exerting their pressure and their strength over Nightstar. Not only that, we're seeing Gloomgrove. Are you gonna? Okay, I thought you were gonna stop Nightstar again on the recall, but it's not gonna happen. Top lane though, Ariana coming back with a black cleaver, ready to dance. But it is 2 global objectives to 2 and 2 kills to 2 as well.
Yep, so objectives being traded is good for Weaver right now, and we kind of saw this back in game 1 as well, where it was kind of grubs being traded for dragons, but this time it's a little bit different. Again, GVU, we talked about their pushing power with the Tristana, with the Jace as well. Now, Sandy has done a great job, and he's actually winning the lane against Nightstar significantly, but Castle is now free to kind of come down to this bot lane a little bit more. Top side is very, very stable.
It is, but of course, for Sendy and Gloom, they stabilize the bot lane and take it even more so. And it's also showing in the plates. Remember last time in games 2 and 3 where we saw Nightstar get massive gold presents with those plates? It's now Sendy to also do the same. 117 on the CS numbers, but 3 plates to their own compared to the 2 that were lost earlier. Level up in the gold lead means that Essence Reaver is already built, plus the Lucidity boots, which is a step up. And Nightstar, as we're hitting 14 minutes, still has yet to complete that goal. And it has to feel bad that you still have 20 stacks on it, 500 gold behind.
Well, thankfully for Nightstar, I mean, the Essence Reaver was completed after the first blood that came through for Sendy, and Sendy hasn't spent that much gold. So even though there is a 600 gold differential between Sendy and Nightstar, all of it is still in pocket for Sendy. It hasn't converted to actual items and combat stats just yet.
Of course, it just still feels bad, I think. No matter what, it's just like, but granted, you can't really feel it because they can't see the gold. So, I digress. Taking a look at where it places, though, it seems that a lot of the early action has scaled down to we can't all be fighting like crazy. If we do, maybe things go a little bit south. So, let's try and be more quiet. Let's try and be more calm heading into this.
I disagree, bro. We can't all be fighting all at the same time. We saw that in the first couple of minutes of the game, and it doesn't...
True.
Considering that we've only got 4 kills on the board, I do think the pace of the game has been fairly high. There's been a lot of trading. Like, top and bot have been non-stop trading.
Well, this trade is a whole different value as well as Castle. Unfortunately misses out Jex with the fancy feet. But that's going to be the impale used underneath the tower. And now a double knockup, so Jexor completely negating this attempt at a tower dive, even lives through it as Yu is going to come around the side. Crescent Guard is up and available. It's going to be used as you flash on top, but Ariana realizing that there's more. Goku roams on in to help as Castle is able to take the Constellation Prize, flashes over onto the worked Earth.
Wait,
but Goku saying, I'm still going to do enough. A final sword is going to be stabbed into the Skarner as bot lane Nightstar and Inflame come out with first tower out of nowhere. So mix of bits and pieces for both squads. Both currently have a chance at those feats. But Weaver, with the rotations, are looking so much better with Goku getting very involved.
Yeah, I'm liking the fact that we're seeing him actually roam out and not just sit in the mid lane like he did with the Rise. This top side too, honestly, actually went better for GVU than I expected. The dive was kind of warped, right? Like when you see that charge up for the Decimating Smash, you probably shouldn't be looking for the impale. They get knocked up, so they end up taking quite a bit of turret damage. And right when Goku shows up to the fight, I thought it was kind of done and dusted, right? GVU should be shafted. But instead, they actually managed to find the kill onto you. Castle's able to trade back a 1-for-2 situation, and it kind of holds everything to the top lane. It even got the bot lane of Sendy, pardon me, and Gloomgrove coming to the top lane instead of trying to secure any of the other lanes, which cost them the bot lane turret, and even mid lane turret is really, really low now.
Of course, you know what else is low is Inflame's HP bar. Heal coming out here. That's a huge shove, though, because the fight is around the Herald. That's going to be a pop blossom, though, as you get 4! Janko says, I am here! Hear me roar! Nightstar to stomp on the head. The Goomba stomp brings a triple. Knocked out of the air, though. Can't follow up as Jax takes yet another life. They are 2-0-2, but Nightstar kites away perfectly. Jax is now just a walking meatball, but the meatball might be able to bring some spice back. Nightstar says, no, you are gonna be food for my life, for my strength, for my power. A hop over the wall brings a shutdown for Castle as it's a delayed ace for GVU.
They all go running for the hills, and at the end of the day, Orbital, the winner is Herald, because Shelly didn't go down. The fight, everybody got distracted by the fight, but GVU punching back is massive for them. The gold lead continues to favor them, and we look at where the kills went to. Nightstar now 4-1-1 as well, got kills in his pocket. Ariana gets kills in his pocket, and all of that off of Jinko's amazing 4-man pop blossom. Weaver, they've got to be careful. They can't afford to get caught like that again. Prior to that, they were actually winning the fight.
They really were, and now they have to be a little bit worried because both mid laners are starting to be more active. We talked about the fact that both Jinko and Goku have been relatively quiet, or at least maybe not as super spotlight heavy. They've done the damage. They've done their job more times than not, and honestly pumped out a lot more damage than I'm usually expecting at the end of the game stats. But now you are actively seeing them be in the face of everyone as Jinko is thrown into the mix. Another pop blossom. Let's get 3 in the backline yet again with a power shock blast as well. Sendy is gone. GVU obliterate Weaver's backline before the fight even started.
Okay, first, the wild growth from Inflame onto Jinko was perfect. That was exactly who he wanted on, but Jinko getting onto Sendy and Gloomgrove like that, my goodness, he soloed out in effectively a 1v3 situation onto Gloomgrove, popped him and forced Sendy out, and now nobody's here to be able to defend this turret. By the way, while they're taking this mid-outer turret, Castle's also taking Dragon, so GVU is really maximizing gains right now.
Sometimes you gotta maximize those gains as much as possible. Last time, it was far more impressive with the Otacon and the Dragon being taken at the same time. This time, though, it's the appropriate call. Dragon taken away. You have double getaway out of this pit.
Just waiting for cooldowns.
I know, I was waiting for that, and it was just a very funny moment. Jexter was like, yeah, I know you're gonna leap. Just do it already.
Yeah, I mean, just do what he can. Mid lane's getting pressured in, but we'll get to see the replay of the mid lane fight. And everything was good right here. They even got Jinko right away. That's where Inflame comes in clutch. If Inflame doesn't save them, this doesn't happen. But this did happen. Okay, so Shock Blast was a large part of that too, but oh my goodness. That combo is nutty. And unfortunately for the side of Weaver, there's nothing you can do about it, right? The moment you're caught by that Pop Blossom, you're in trouble. And they're getting past Jexor every single time. That's the main tank. Everybody else, okay, even you right now, is very vulnerable to the burst magic damage that Jinko is able to pump out.
Did Shelly just bought Castle on the back of the head and Castle did not give a crap? I love that so much. I love how shielding works in this. It's so funny. But because of those recalls, it is identified as we are diving into this mid game now. 20 minutes. Herald is up and ready to be played for, and Weaver are going to try and use this as their kind of springboard back into this. They've lost 2 team fights in a row, and I mean, they're going to try and grab it, but Castle coming in for the mix. No way. Castle gets away with this. It is going to be smited away, and Weaver claim their prize.
I was genuinely worried for a second that GV was just going to collapse on them, right? Because you doesn't have enough damage to take it. And who was in them? Gloomgrove? Like, guys, we need Sendy, we need Goku, we need the actual damage to come and help them. They do secure it, though, and that is key for Weaver. They are behind by about 4,000 gold right now, so they need to find avenues back into the game. And with the Talia, with the Lucian, there's a lot of pick potential here, but trying to take turrets is really tough. So getting the Herald to help them take a turret if they find a pick could be the massive gold swing they need to really get back into this game.
I mean, and I will say, in terms of gold, they are behind, but in terms of a global presence, I feel like they've actually done okay for themselves. They've gotten 2 dragons for themselves as well, so we're kind of back into that even swing state with the global objectives. GVU were really prominent on top of that in games 2 and 3, and this time it's like, well, if we were get the next dragon that's coming up in about 3 minutes, it's a Cloud Soul. It's not the greatest one in the world, obviously, but it is a point to play for, right? Now, of course, GVU are saying, well, we want to take control more of these global advantages as well. Let's go ahead and go for the Otacon. We take the tower on the top side. This is one of the earliest Otacons that I think I've seen in ages at 21.5 minutes, and there is no response from Weaver's side. Weaver's actually running over a lot of vision and realizing that, hey, we can't do anything, so Otacon down, giving that pseudo GA to everyone on GVU's side.
And the thing is, you talk about map pressure or global pressure from Weber. They got an objective. They didn't get it in turrets. And that's why they're slow to the rotation right now. Castle is looking for the engage. Gloom Grove is isolated.
That's unfortunate there. Tried to jump on the Jin Call, but it's just Gloom Grove going down there. Nice little shove, but there's not much damage to follow through. Ariana getting to get that redemption on the backhand, and you are safe. So, GVU going ahead and taking that payment. Weaver took the tower, but you got to give something in return for it.
Look, I kind of want to hear the comms right there. Ariana almost went down because nobody was body blocking for him. Like, Castle was right next to him and didn't want to step
the
up.
tankiest member didn't want to take a calling out of a 2-item Lucian. That...
Like, bro, buy me a McDonald's in the motel. I have literally heard those comments, by the way, in collegiate teams, so it's not that far off the realm of possibility.
We've heard some things in collegiate comms, and that would be one of them. If Ariana had actually fallen and lost out on the GA, it would have felt bad. But at the same time, we're still back to that position of, we have the gold, now we went back and spent it. Everyone has gone ahead and bought up as much as possible, and Nightstar is walking around with a bank and a half, 10k, about a k ahead of just about anyone else outside of Goku, right? Goku is within 1, but 10k already means about 2.5 items for this ADC. It's going to be a massive boon for them whenever they get really into the mix. Ariana, though, feels like something's up. There's the shove once again, and it's a dive onto this Jace. Really, really well done by Goku and you.
The big problem, though, is because he did have the buff of life, the GA, onto Ariana, the kill is not as meaningful as it otherwise might have been. They still are able to secure the turret, which is really, really good for them. They still get some kill gold from that. I believe it's 200 right now, so it's more than it used to be. But it just means a faster reset for Ariana, as Dragon is going to be spawning in about 20 seconds as well. He's going to get there before Goku or you are able to rotate.
I think that's what they're kind of hoping for right now. Everyone stepping in. Nightstar actually leaping into the fray. Jumps in with the mix. And the auto spacing is perfect. That was beautiful to watch from Nightstar, and Inflame as now they take a tower as well. Ariana TP down to the bot side, but GVU starting to play the entirety of the map except for top lane. Dragon now spawned, but Castle is looking for more pain. Jax realizing that this is not the spot you want to be in. A short range ult just to get the unstoppable, to get that invulnerability from CC, and yet it is 2 towers burned away in just a minute flat.
And the goal was never to kill Jigsaw. It was just to buy space for Nightstar to take the turret. You saw how quickly he shredded the turret, almost as quickly as he shredded Sandy. Yuntel Wild Arrows, Navori Quick Blades, the plus rapid fire cannon is probably pushing near the 2 ASPD limit at this point for Tristana. So, yeah, the goal at the end of the game is not to kill champions. It's to take turrets and eventually take Nexus. And GVU right now is playing the game right.
They are the ones that have stood at the pinnacle of this tournament so far, of these playoffs as well. They have shown their dominance, and we were able to claw very close, but right now they are continuing kind of their push. They see the crown, they want it so badly, and they want to do it in style as well. If you're heading to nationals, you don't want to show any signs of weakness. You want to show that you're going to be strong throughout, even through the break that you might have, and I think GVU are doing it quite well after kind of dusting themselves off from game 1.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of something I've heard in sports where they say offense gets you wins, defense gets you trophies. And GVU right now, yes, they're playing aggressively, they're making plays, but they're also making very safe plays. They're kind of playing defensively. They're not overextending. They're not trying to go for kills and, trying to pad the stats. No, they're still playing a very objective-based games, whether it be turrets, whether it be Atakan, whether it be Baron, which just spawned. Look at where they are right now, right? Most of them are up top, getting vision down, denying away vision. They're not necessarily setting up death bushes. They're just trying to make sure that they'll see Weber coming in from a mile away. They're going to push out these lanes, and then they're going to look for Baron. Meanwhile, they're using Jinko as well to just try and shove out this bot lane. It's not that effective, unfortunately, against Sion because he's kind of tanky for a burst mage to deal with, but the idea for the setup is there.
I know, and then you can bait for these plays in the mid. What a catch into the wall! Sendy being taken for a ride. Pop Blossom into the back. Such an easy catch. 3 for 3 makes it whole, and that is 100% shot percentage for Jinko to allow yet another Quadra for Nightstar. GVU, the Vikings strike gold, and they're looking for the base as well.
And with the Jace, with the Tristana, double AD carries, they can they can absolutely shred through the base. Use the only one left alive. He hasn't even started recalling. He knows it's done.
No. He knows it's gone. GVU put a damper on the plans of Weaver, and GVU claim their golden ticket through hard-fought battles. They will dive the tower. They will dive the fountain. Take one more kill for the road, as 3-1 is the score for the Vikings as they claim the NECC championship.
And game after game, Orbital, GVU just got cleaner and cleaner. They dropped game 1. Game 2 was kind of, well, okay. Game 2 was pretty dominant from them. Game 3 got a little bit scrappy, but game 4 was clean. Yeah, they dropped kills, but at no point during that game did I think, okay, Weber's got a way back into this. I was looking, I was like, okay, how does Weber get it back into this? And it's just like, well, GVU aren't giving you any avenues whatsoever, and they're answering so well. They make sure that, okay, sure, you've got Talia, you've got a global. Well, we don't care. We're just not going to give you the space to be able to use that global. We're always going to make sure people are shading, covering. Props to Sendy for Weber. I mean, props to the whole Weber team, but especially Sendy, and Gloomgrove. They swapped the roles at the last second, and despite the fact that that's not maybe what they had practiced, I do think that bot lane absolutely pulled it off. That was the one time they kind of won lane, and I think a lot of it was on Gloomgrove, on that Milio. As odd as it might sound, that swap to support, the knockbacks especially, absolutely on point.
And not just that, I mean, there's a reason why we haven't been able to claw through. They've been able to pull some of these moments off. They dropped down after the winners semifinals lost to Tactics, and they fought their way to another side, and they will have another chance, I believe, in a future tournament, in the basically a last chance qualifier for the nationals as well. There's another tournament in the future, so make sure to keep tuned to NECC. But yeah, but quite honestly, this entire matchup shows why I think GVU are such a team to watch out for. They are gonna go into nationals as these reigning champions, the squad to beat, and quite literally everyone on their side had a moment. We talked about Castle, we talked about Nightstar, and obviously Nightstar stole the way. But that game, Jinko, what the hell did you eat, bro? In the middle between game 3 and 4, I have never seen cleaner pop blossoms. Literally every ult landed on 3 or more.
What did he eat? Oh no, he ate the entire Weaver squad, and he was eating good. Yeah, his Nico was absolutely on point. It's just beautiful to watch. And the thing with Grandview, as you pointed out, was everybody stepped up, right? It started with Ariana and Inflame, probably the newest players on this roster in the early games. We got to see Castle on his signature Lee Sin in game 2 and his Sichuani in game 3. But to close it out, it was their veterans. It was the guys who've been playing the longest. It was Jinko. It was Nightstar. Game 4, immaculate game from them, just kind of running everybody over, and yeah, just winning. Nightstar as well, winning lane against both AD carries who he played against. Or, well, technically didn't win lane against Sendy, but he came out of lane and was an absolute menace coming out in game 4, was still very, very relevant. Yeah, GVU, Div 1, it's been a competitive split, and the one team, I think, that made it look kind of easy was GVU in playoffs. Every other team, a lot of 2-1s, a lot of, closely contested games, but GVU, yeah, there's a reason why they're sitting pretty after winners finals, and they managed to deliver.
And I think that's why we get to watch for these nationals come May is gonna be so explosive. We get to see all the action go down and it'll be live. So make sure to keep eyes out for more on that just as well. But that's the end of our night, RMC, and I couldn't have asked for a better squad to come by. We had Chippy and Caddy on the production for us that gave us every single moment in view. And hopefully we get to see even more in the future. There's gonna be more playoff games as well. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across all of the NECC esports and genre. So make sure to keep tuned and pride for the matches that will be coming. And also a big shout out once again to Wenzel's Farm Snack Sticks, making sure to keep gamers fueled up for the matches ahead. Wenzel's Farm, fuel for gamers, flavor for champions. We have been your broadcast for this League of Legends Grand Finals. My name is Orbital. With me has a random mini caster, and we will see you all next time.
Oh man, this is incredible.
Wow.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Hey man, grab me a meat stick. I think I can reach it if I just a little more. Just let me go a little. I can't. Just a little more. I almost got it. Careful! Oh God! No. Come on, just reach. Reach. Just grab my hand. I can't hold it. Grab my hand.
Give me the meat stick. This other hand's closer. The one with the stick is